Vinny, do you have any thoughts on the Vince Russo situation?
You know, when news first broke, I was in utter shock and disbelief. I can't believe he's risen again like the Phoenix. He just won't die. After watching Impact tonight, why the hell not?
Well,
It could really be any worse.
You know, I do have to say, you know what's funny is there's like a 5-page thread that I figured out is a very intense trolling effort. And the funniest part is where they're accusing me of jumping to conclusions, that sort of thing, when I actually specifically stated on the show today that I will give Vince Russo a chance. I fully expect him to fail because, as some people are unable to do, I actually look at history. And Vince Russo is a colossal failure in everything he's ever done, and he's never admitted to a failure. Even I've admitted to failure.
Oh, we have.
Think about that.
And if somehow this works, we'll admit to it again.
Sure.
We were wrong, we'll say.
That's right. Now, let's think of an example where I can't think of an example where I've been wrong, but I'm sure there have been.
I know they've happened because I remember thinking, "Holy cow, Bryan just admitted he was wrong."
Yeah, so fuck off.
They're rare, but
quiet down before I shut you off. So I will give Vince Russo a chance here, but let's be realistic. The history of Vince Russo indicates he's going to fuck this up like he fucks everything up. And as I said to one hardcore Hogan, and I will say this here, I guarantee that within a year, which is giving him way too much time, within 1 year, either Vince Russo will be gone, or TNA will be gone, or both will be gone, which I think at this point is very likely. And Hardcore Hogan will be on the board, and he will be blaming everybody else for Vince Russo's failure. I just mark my... And I've written it down on the board, so I'm just going to go back to it in about 6 months and cackle. Just cackle at Hardcore Hogan over and over again, because I know it's going to happen. I've seen this a million times. But, so anyway, yeah, Russo's coming back, and I did think on the show tonight, and I thought it for a different reason, which was, this show is horrible. Yeah. It's like he's already here.
That may be.
We've got a gimmick where Eric Young's got a videotape in his trousers to make it look like he's got a large, square, plastic penis. We've got 18 million fucking things happening over the course of this show. Just way too much bullshit. And it's like, I'm watching a Vince Russo show. And then the other part of me thought, it's only going to get worse, believe it or not. And I can't believe that, actually, but... At least, you know, I'm all for it because we're going to have some fun and wackiness here at F4WOnline.com for a while because this will be a disaster. Just a giant disaster.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush,
Nashville, Tennessee, September 24th, 2006. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling.
I believe you mean Orlando.
Shut up. Total Nonstop Action Wrestling announced today that Olympic gold medalist and pro wrestling megastar Kurt Angle has signed exclusively with the company. It was also announced that TNA iMPACT will move to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Pacific Thursdays on Spike TV starting November 16th. This has been a huge week in our company's history, said Dixie Carter, president of TNA Entertainment, LLC. The signing of Kurt Angle and the move of iMPACT to 9 o'clock p.m. are both significant benchmarks in the growth of TNA. The history of pro wrestling is marked with events that changed the landscape of the industry, and I believe that this week will be viewed in that context. Angle, a two-time NCAA Division I champion and a three-time NCAA Division I All-American, capped off his illustrious amateur career by winning a gold medal in freestyle wrestling at the 1996 Olympics, competing with two cracked vertebrae, two herniated discs, and 4 pulled muscles. On November 14th, 1999, Angle made his on-screen debut with the World Wrestling Federation. Since then, this 5-time WWE World Champion has held every major championship belt in WWFE. He's also in the USA Wrestling Hall of Fame. Kurt is considered the greatest wrestler in professional wrestling, added Carter. His in-ring ability is matched only by his leadership and attitude. We are thrilled Kurt is joining the TNA family, and we look forward to a long, successful relationship. Being with TNA feels like I found my home, Kurt Angle commented. TNA will be the most watched show on cable TV. It's just a matter of time. Thank you, TNA, for saving my career, my life, and my desire to do what I love. That's Kurt Angle. He is the new signee. He is the biggest announcement in the history of announcements. An announcement that will rewrite the history of this industry. I'm disappointed that they didn't rewrite any history in this press release, because I wanted rewritten history.
I just want the drop you played, which was from the recorded live in the building when the announcement was made. I'd like you to do me a favor and make a drop of that. And whenever you introduce me on the show, just play that drop.
Just play that drop?
Yes.
That ain't happening.
Damn it.
I want to play the drop of when they did a gimmick on this show involving a blow-up doll, scripted by Vince Russo, and everyone chanted, "This is stupid." That should be your new entrance theme.
That's not nearly as cool.
Every time you show up on the show, I just wanted "This is stupid" chant.
Dare you. You invited me on the show.
I did invite you on this show.
Not this particular episode, but...
Well, kids, Kurt Angle's coming to TNA. That was the big announcement. They also announced a 9 o'clock time slot, but let's be serious here. And by the way, what a loyal audience they've got there at the Impact Zone. When Jim Cornette came out and announced that they were moving to 9 o'clock, yeah, from 11 o'clock to 9 o'clock, still on Thursdays. That's the only announcement he made.
Yeah.
They reacted like he announced WWE is going out of business tomorrow, and we are...
we won, we may as well said.
We are taking on all their assets. And I thought, Jesus, people, seriously. Is this really that big a deal?
Remarkable after a show that was not exactly a shining moment.
Yeah, like hey, we just showed you a horrible pay-per-view. Now you're going to be able to see it earlier.
Yes.
That's a hell of an announcement. This show, kids, was really bad, with the exception of...
Really, just the Ultimate X match.
I guess, yeah, that was the best match on the show.
By leaps and bounds.
It hit 3.5 stars. Nothing else really came close. And just... God, I could rant for hours. I just don't have the energy tonight, you know what I mean? I'm drained. But I'm sure perhaps when I get going, perhaps when I get rolling, I'll really have the energy to do this rant. But I will say this. On, I believe, Friday's show, I think it was Friday's show, it was some show this week, I had a little speech I gave about Vincent K. Russo and what a fool he was. And it was funny because somebody on the board, I don't know if it was the way it was worded, if he meant like, if the two of us had a personal issue and didn't like each other, something like that. But he basically said, from listening to Bryan, it sounds like he doesn't like Russo.
Wow.
I was like, you don't say.
A master of deduction this reader must be.
And I responded that, he is an idiot. And that seemed to satisfy them.
Okay.
But a big thread did start by one Hardcore Hogan, who I'm going to mention by name here on this show.
You already have.
He started a big thread. I believe it was just entitled Patience. Let me go back and find the thread here that was called Patience.
Also a fine song by Guns N' Roses.
It really was. Perhaps, Vinny, while I'm looking for it, you could whistle it. No.
No.
Patience, people. It's pretty low rent, said Hardcore Hogan, to blast Russo before he's even written a show for TNA. If it sucks, I guess all of you want credit for being able to predict it before it happened. I mean, honestly, don't you have better things to do? Yes, I know he worked for TNA before, but this is a new day. He has Samoa Joe now, at least. Maybe he has a clue what to do with him and LAX, because the current guys sure as hell don't. That's from Hardcore Hogan. Well, now that we've seen a show, can we officially say that he's horrible?
I will. He's horrible.
He's fucking sucks. I said I'd give the guy a chance, but this show... Man, what's funny is is it took them they killed the X Division, as we've noted before.
Yes.
But it took them a long time and some hard work. Boy, did Russo do a number on that division in one show.
He took the corpse and desecrated it.
He did. He humped the corpse.
He really did.
Of the X Division.
He evicted.
Let's go over this fantastic fucking show. I'd like to note, too, that I didn't get any emails from TNA defenders. Nothing. I was very disappointed.
You mean after the show?
Yeah, I thought I'd get a lot of emails from people going, Bryan,
see, I told you it would be great.
That thing with the laxative and that Petey Williams match, that was fucking so cool. Man, I would have hated that if it wasn't for that laxative gag. Didn't get one, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I didn't get one person that said, you know, that Senshi match with Chris Sabin, that was just a horrible wrestling match. Thank God they brought in that blow-up doll.
Yes, that's the match needed, was a blow-up doll.
Didn't get one. In fact, I went on the board. I'm not one to brag, as I mentioned on the show yesterday, but I went on the board and I posted a thread that it was just entitled, "This is stupid," in quotation marks. That was, in fact, the quote from the fans in the Impact Zone when the blow-up doll came into play. They began chanting, "This is stupid."
Well, first, they all groaned loudly.
They started booing.
They groaned, and they started booing, and then they died for a minute, and then it just started, "This is stupid." Clap, 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 clap.
Yep, and I posted here, where the fuck are you Vince Russo fans right now? And as of, let's see, I posted that at 11:34 p.m., and it is now 12:48 a.m., and I'm still waiting for them to come onto the board here and make their big defense of how great this Vince Russo stuff was. Where are you guys at?
You were calling
Where
me
are you
out.
at, Hardcore Hogan? Yeah, I'm calling you out. I want a good thread here defending this bullshit. I want someone coming on and going, you know, Bryan, you're wrong. This show was great. That laxative, the fucking blow-up doll, the country whipping match with Jeff Jarrett and Umaga in the main event.
The wacky tag team battle royal.
The wacky tag team. That was some good shit, Bryan. What's wrong with you? Just give him a chance, buddy. It's only been one show, and that's going to be it's only been one show.
Yeah.
Oh, Bryan, he needs several weeks to turn this ship around. He needs several months. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I even made the prediction that within 1 year, either Vince Russo will be gone or TNA will be gone, and Hardcore Hogan and all his other little geek cronies are going to be coming on the board going, it was everybody's fault but Vince Russo's. He didn't get a fair shake. Poor Vince just got fucked. Vince Russo got screwed by somebody. I don't know who yet. It'll be Dixie Carter or fucking Mickey Mouse or somebody.
Spike Network officials.
Somebody in Orlando. Spike. It'll be everyone else's fault except Vince Russo's. Mm-hmm. Nothing's ever been Vince Russo's fault, strangely enough. Just one shitty run after another, but it's never his fault.
Companies across this country.
Just crazy. I do have to give Vince Russo credit here, though. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to give him credit for the same reason I'm going to give Rob Schneider credit. Talk about two people that just, like parasites, like cockroaches.
They won't die.
Just two people that have gotten just chance after chance after chance after chance for nothing. Just for nothing. What did Vince Russo deserve to get this latest run?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Dirt nothing.
Just shit after shit after shit after shit after shit. He keeps coming back. That fucking, what was his name? I already forgot his name. Rob Schneider. Man, talk about getting far in life with no talent. Those are two guys right there. I've never seen two less talented men get farther in this world, I don't think. Name one. Try and name somebody with less talent than Vince Russo or Rob Schneider that's gotten farther in their respective area of expertise. And I use that term extremely loosely.
I'm sure I can think of some musicians.
Seriously, try it.
Billy Corgan.
Even Simple Plan.
Yeah.
I'd go to Simple Plan concert before I'd ever see Rob Schneider film, or I'm forced to watch Vince Russo, but of my own, willingly, never. I'd see Simple Plan first, and I can't really think of anybody else. It's gotten farther with less talent.
Wow.
Seriously, in any genre.
Dude, I'm drawing a blank. I have no idea.
Maybe Hardcore Hogan can fill it. Maybe like Willa Ford will somehow come into this thread somewhere.
I actually took the time to maybe should clue people in. People are debating who's a bigger star, Chuck Liddell or his ex/whatever girlfriend,
Yeah.
Willa Ford.
The key is in 2006, by the way.
In 2006. Apparently, Willa Ford once had a song.
In 2001.
Yeah.
She had one hit in 2001.
And to call it a hit is very generous, because I actually looked it up and listened to it, and I swear to God I've never heard this before.
Well,
And I listened to pop radio.
You were an 11 in 2001.
That may be the key.
Everybody defending Willa Ford's like 17, which is the key. But the best one was somebody was ranting about something or other, and he goes, "You can't count the 18 to 34 demographic." I'm like, oh, okay, well that's totally fair.
You don't count that.
Just
no one counts them really.
The number one demographic in all of television and entertainment. We just won't count them, but. Oh yeah, we've had some greatness on the board the last couple of days, and I can only imagine after this rant the threads that we'll be developing. But I don't give a shit. In fact, I want it. I demand it. I demand threads defending the greatness of Vince Russo, or the shittiness, or whatever the operative word in that case was. Just just make my day. I want to hear about how great the laxative was. Let's get into this piece of shit show, and I'll rant about Angle when I get to it. I'm not feeling it right now. I'm still on my Russo kick, so I may get an Angle in a minute. Open up with Eric Young versus A1 in a one-star battle that got heat only because everybody loves Eric Young, and otherwise this match would have been insufferable. And Eric Young won with a wheelbarrow and a neck breaker.
I don't know if I've ever seen such heat for such a crappy match. This was lame. 1 star is very generous. There's nothing to recommend watching this for. There
you go. Then we had Petey Williams and Jay Lethal. The gimmick here is that Jay Lethal, Chris Sabin, and Sanjay Dutt are big fans of Jack Ass.
You said that separate than 2 words, like there's actual Jonathan Ass running around. His friends call him Jack.
Well, I was going to do the separation there, but it ended up being a larger separation because I hiccuped or belched in the middle of Jack and Ass, so... That's God just trying to add a little bit of humor to this show.
Sure.
He's trying to bring some sort of quality into tonight.
I remember once somewhere on a long road trip, you and I invented the gimmick that we needed 3 men to become the Ass Brothers. Jack, Pat, and Harry.
Yes, they were going to be wrestlers.
Yes.
And speaking of, we also have the gimmick for you, Burt Angle.
Angle.
The Special Olympic hero.
Mm-hmm.
You've got no talent whatsoever and 1 eye. Instead of the 3 eyes, you've just got 1 eye. You're missing an eye.
Yeah. That's why I was in the Special Olympics.
Yeah, so...
Burt Angle.
That unfortunately never came to fruition. You ended up shoulder... You'd still be wrestling right now and probably getting paid if you were Burt Angle.
Well, thank God I didn't get it then.
You'd probably be in TNA, to be honest with you. Petey Williams faced Jay Lethal. Like I said, they're the 3 goofs. This is why Russo's such a fucking moron. This is just one of many reasons. Sabin, Dutt, and Lethal are supposed to be baby faces. That's the deal. They're cool baby faces because they're fans of Jackass and they do similar stunts. And you know, Jackass is the #1 movie this weekend, so they've got to be cool if they're copying Jackass. So their big wacky, gimmicky joke was they put a laxative in Petey Williams' string. So to make a long story short, Petey Williams wrestled the entire match holding his ass. Mm-hmm. He couldn't do any moves. He had to hold his ass the whole time. So what could have been a good match was horrible. It was not funny. Nobody was laughing. And
they went forever.
It
was a bad joke that would not end.
Yeah, they kept going. Mm-hmm. It was Brent Kremen, in fact. Brent Kremen tells a joke. It's not funny, so he tries to tell it for 15 minutes, hoping at the end you'll laugh. Nobody laughed. So ended up Lethal. He went for the Canadian Destroyer, but he couldn't execute it because of his ass. So Jay Lethal rolled him up for the pin. Just immeasurably awful is what I wrote. And I gave it a half a star, and I'm now putting a minus sign in front of it, now that I really think about it. Negative half a star, everybody. In fact, I'm going to go negative a full star.
Yeah.
That insulted my intelligence.
And a match that insults you in any way should get negative stars.
Yeah. That was negative 1 star. In fact, you know what? I'm going to bump it up to negative 2 stars, because it could have been good. They fucked it up. Negative 2 stars, everybody.
This, by the way, folks, for those of you wondering how star ratings work, this is the systematic, formulaic approach that Bryan takes.
That's right, yes. Then we had Abyss, Runt, and Raven in an Extreme Rules match. And it was like watching a Halloween party. You had a big fat guy in leather with long hair and a mask. You had a dude that looked like a 600-year-old zombie. And you had a skinny guy who was white but wanted to be Mr. T for Halloween and weighed 130 pounds.
The only flaw in this theory is that if this had been a Halloween party, we would have had candy.
That's also true. There was no candy involved in this match. It was a mix of good and bad. There was some good stuff. I guess just to cut to the chase, because if you want the whole breakdown, read the goddamn newsletter, but this was about a 2 3/4 star match. It really wasn't anything good about it, but it was a fun little spectacle. There were a few good moments here and there. A lot of, I guess to me the biggest stupid thing was, I mean, they had everything from Spike being thrown into a tube, which the announcer sold like he'd been thrown into a tube to hell, and Spike coming off the ramp down 10 feet onto Abyss with a double foot stomp through a table, or supposed to be through a table. And in the end was just Abyss gave Raven the Black Hole Slam, a wrestling move.
Yeah.
This was enough.
Well, you see, that's how devastating Abyss's Black Hole Slam is.
Crazy.
Yeah. I will say that there was a lot of wacky, hardcore stuff in this that I had not seen before. And in 2006, that's kind of remarkable.
Sure, I guess so.
Yeah, they worked hard and they did their stuff, and I've certainly seen much worse, so I can't be too hard on this.
We had the 8-team Battle Royal Final Judgment thingama what have you. 8 teams. I actually gave up in the middle of this match at one point. And I'm going to tell you why. When fucking Mike Tenay is like, doesn't know what's going on, that's when I don't even bother. I don't, any wrestling company that requires me, while taking notes, to rewind to figure out what's going on, you're horrible.
That's bad.
You're doing something wrong. This was just a very complicated 8-team Royal Rumble that turned into a tag match and wacky rules and shit like that. It came down to AMW versus Naturals, where the Naturals would have to break up forever if they lost, and unfortunately they won.
God damn it.
They scored the victory, and the announcers played it up like it was the culmination of months and months of hard work and dedication. And meanwhile, the fans were just good job, Naturals! Yeah. These fans, God bless them, they know the script. They did. And they try to follow it. They gave the scripted, we're so proud of the Naturals.
Sadly, they are not Oscar-winning actors.
They were so proud of the Naturals, why didn't they give a fuck during the match?
Yeah, well, because
they didn't give a shit during this match.
No, and to top off all the stupidity and all the elaborate rules, I believe at one point, as Bryan noted, Mike Tenay was not clear on the rules himself. At one point, I believe Frankie Kazarian and Matt Bentley were arguing about whether or not they had actually been eliminated. And then, on top of all this, they did a screw job ending of the Battle Royal, where James Storm was thrown out, but the refs missed it. So he ran back in and tossed Kip James out, and so they ended up winning and getting on the tag match. There's also a great spot where Chase Stevens was going to do a springboard something out of the outside, and one of AMW pushed him on the ass, and he flew over the rail in about the 4th row and wiped out spectators, and everybody was going nuts. And meanwhile, I was just thinking, why the fuck would you go for a springboard to the outside in a Battle Royal? Yes. I don't know. We asked this during the show. Perhaps he was going to jump back in. I don't know, but still, it was dumb. Dumb. Fucking idiots. Then we had Senshi versus Chris Sabin for the X title. You know, I think that I am a prophet. I have determined that I have some sort of psychic ability. Really?
Because it happens time after time after time after time after time, where I'll write some sort of comment, and then immediately, something will occur.
I'm going to guess that your comment in this was, this has turned into an awfully good match, but they will probably screw it up somehow.
No, sort of. It was that sort of thing. What happened was they came out and no one cared. That was the key to every match, is when it started, no one gave a shit. That was pretty much the theme of the show. And in a lot of the matches, nobody gave a shit at all the whole time. There were a few pops here and there, but... So this was a match where it was 2 guys, Senshi and Chris Sabin, were very good workers. They came out, nobody cared. They did some stuff, nobody cared. They kept doing stuff, and the people kind of started to care, and they kept doing stuff, and then it was like the people cared, and then Chris Sabin makes this big comeback, and the people were really into it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is really amazing. They had an X Division match earlier, and they threw in a bunch of stupid Vince Russo bullshit, and nobody gave a shit. And now here's 2 guys coming out and just wrestling. Yeah. Just having a wrestling match, and they turned the crowd and got him into the match. And as I'm typing that, out comes the other 2 dorks with the blow-up doll. They had the other 2 dorks being Sanjay and, what's his name? The other one. Jay Lethal. And Jay Lethal had a blow-up doll that was wearing Chris Sabin's gear,
and had something taped to its face. We never saw what.
So they bring out this doll, and everybody starts booing. And we talked about this earlier, and we talked about the chant of, "This is stupid," but we didn't actually talk about the stupidest thing of all. Senshi goes up to the top rope, and Lethal and Dutt pull Chris Sabin out of the ring, and they throw in the blow-up doll.
Oh, yes.
They threw the blow-up doll into the middle of the ring. Well, Senshi on the top rope was unable to determine that this blow-up doll was not, in fact, Chris Sabin.
Yes. He looked down at the figure, which was even wider than Sabin, and had no fingers or limbs of any kind, really, and he leapt. He was going to foot stomp this thing to death.
Yes, he was unable to differentiate between a living being and a plastic air-filled doll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because,
So, anyway, there was, then the people were chanting how stupid this was, and Sabin ended up with the blow-up doll in his hands. I'm not making any of this up, by the way. For those of you that didn't see the pay-per-view and think I'm joking here, I swear to God.
You're missing the part where Sabin came off the top rope and Senshi distracted him by tossing the blow-up doll at him.
That's right.
This would be a three-way with Senshi versus Sabin versus the blow-up doll.
Which was not a DQ, by the way, when the doll came in the ring. No. Remember that, kids, for future reference. If a third man hits the ring, but he is in fact a blown-up man, a doll, it's not a DQ.
Right.
So Senshi ended up drop-kicking Sabin and the doll, and pinned Sabin using the ropes. This probably would have been about a 3.5-star match, and that finish dropped it down well below 3.
For those of you who do have this on tape or are getting the replay, watch this one fan in particular. The fans in general were just pissed because they were really into it, and then they got screwed. And they were just angry about the whole thing. And there's one fan you can see after Senshi wins, he's celebrating. They cut to a close-up of him, and you can see a fan in a teal T-shirt over his shoulder who's just swearing and muttering and spitting. And Senshi turns around, and the fan gives Senshi a giant thumbs up, saying, "Thank God you kicked that dork's ass."
You know, it's 1:04 a.m., and I'm still waiting for somebody to jump into the "This is stupid" thread and give me some sort of
defend Vince.
Yeah, come on, people. I don't want a trolling effort either. I want a real effort. Come on, Hogan, Hardcore Hogan, get in there. Let's hear it. Back to the recap.
So yeah, that's the X Division title match.
Rhino faced Christian in a WWE style match that they booked like it was a semi-main event at WrestleMania. It was in the Impact Zone, third from the top. Sort of. I mean, it was fine. 2.5 stars. Nothing to it.
I probably wouldn't go that high.
You know, it's funny. The best part of this whole thing was... someone help me out here, by the way. Reiner did a promo saying he had a bad head injury, and the doctors didn't want him to compete. And I was just thinking, when did you get this? An untelevised event?
They did the bit where Christian whacked up the chair on his head against the wall. And I just now...
When, on Impact?
It happened.
Wow.
Hey,
you guys did a hell of a job getting that angle over.
Yeah.
Good job. So anyway, he had this head injury, and Mike Tenay is passionately screaming about how sickening this is. Sickening that they let a man with a horrible injury into the ring. And I just thought, what irony. Well, because I knew the announcement at this point, because we were watching the replay, and word had got to me, and I was just like, what irony. That's classic stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Kurt Angle right now.
All right, go for it.
Kurt Angle was fired from WWE.
That's true.
I don't think a lot of people understand the gravity of that statement. Let me explain, and for those of you that don't read the newsletter, the reason Kurt Angle was fired is because WWE expects him to die.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not no exaggeration.
Potentially soon, potentially in the ring.
This is not like they had to hire handlers for Kurt Angle.
I have heard that.
Like, he couldn't get places on his own.
Yeah.
He couldn't get to, like, buildings. He couldn't get to the arena. They had to hire handlers to get him there. Okay? This wasn't like, oh, let's ask him to go to rehab. Oh, he doesn't want to go. Okay, well, let's just fire him. Why the fuck would they? I'll tell you why. Because he was going to die. They didn't want Kurt Angle dying under their watch. And they let him go. And TNA snatches him. Just snatches him up. Kurt Angle does a big promo. Man, I don't know if you guys, some of you I'm sure have seen this, most of you probably have, but Kurt Angle's issued a statement. He's put on 20 pounds of muscle.
I had heard that.
Since being fired.
I thought, wow, amazing what life off the road will do for you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's see. He's a 36, 37-year-old man with a broken neck and atrophied arms, and he's put on 20 pounds of solid muscle in 3 weeks. That's crazy. That's some crazy genetics right there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got all his issues handled. And they just snatched him up. You know, it's funny, when I went on the board, I think we had 100... let me go and see what the record was. Hold on a second here. I think the old record was like 70 people on the board at one time.
73 seems to stick in my head.
Okay, well, Sunday, September 24th, 7:57 p.m., 123.
That's more.
Yeah.
Substantially more.
We nearly doubled the record.
Yeah.
And as of the last time I checked on the board, there were approximately 10 threads devoted to Kurt Angle, and that's not counting the thread for the actual No Surrender pay-per-view. These are just bonus threads. And I think every single one of them was negative on the whole idea. At least by people that weren't trolling.
Mm-hmm.
Among the people that actually thought, you know, there's a human being on the line here.
There's a husband, a father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the people that understand that a life is at stake here are very down on TNA. I don't know what TNA thought. I don't know if they thought that, like, I mean, hey, but they got the wrestling world talking. I will say that. At least the internet wrestling world. I don't know if, I'll put it this way. You and Mike Rowe both came over, and neither of you knew what the announcement was.
Not entirely fair. I made a deliberate point to avoid.
Yeah, but, I mean, you didn't have people calling you. You didn't have people texting you.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Sean was calling you and Greg and Jim.
I see. Okay.
Mike Rowe didn't have people calling them, asking them about the big... No one contacted you.
No.
You didn't have the buzz from our friends out there, just casual. I didn't have JJ calling.
No, I
didn't have Derek calling.
Nope.
Didn't have Buddy Wayne calling.
No.
This got a gigantic buzz on the internet. We'll see what it does for the ratings. I mean, it got a substantial buzz on the internet. But TNA was built on the internet for 3 years, and it didn't do a goddamn bit of good. So they bring in Kurt Angle. I don't know what they thought. I don't know if they thought that, man, the wrestling world's going to be so excited. People are going to be jumping up and down. People are going to be talking about how great Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle and Chris Daniels, Kurt Angle and AJ Styles. I don't know if they thought it would just be millions of threads of people excited for future matches, instead of what it was, which was so far 11 threads or something like that on our board of people just like, God, fuck TNA. In fact, that's a big, there's one right here, in all caps, fuck TNA. Scary Angle announcement. Kurt Angle is a drug addict with a broken neck. Fuck Kurt Angle. Man, you guys have really done a hell of a job here, TNA. You've babyfaced yourselves here. Sign the guys. For those of you wondering the news, I really don't know what to announce about this whole situation. From the WWE side, I get the impression no one knew. And the TNA side, they got Kurt Angle, they took him to a warehouse, had a couple of guys there filming who had to sign confidentiality clauses. All that stuff on the internet about the clauses everybody had to sign that knew the deal, it's all true. They told very, very few people. They told nobody at the building until the very, very last second. So this was a very, very heavily kept secret. And probably for the best, because if it had gotten out, God knows they would have gotten all of this prior to the pay-per-view. At least you're getting it afterwards. After you raped some people of their money. People, you know, anybody that bought the pay-per-view thinking that they wouldn't have the announcement on the internet 2 seconds after the show ended. But, yeah, you're, great. You got a guy who may die at any moment. And he's clearly taken no steps to clean the whole situation up.
If anything, he's...
I'll say he's back on the drugs again.
Yeah. There's no wellness policy now.
No,
he's free.
There's no wellness policy. He's a free man. He can do whatever he wants. So there you go, kids. There's Kurt Angle. I don't know what to say about this company. Very down on TNA for just the stupidity of hiring Vince Russo.
It's been a bad week.
Just the absolute utter stupidity of hiring Vince Russo. And then just, who gives a fuck? WWE fired a guy because they were afraid he was going to die at any moment. Let's hire him. Let's hire him pretty much immediately.
As soon as they could.
I mean, they didn't even wait. I mean, let's just pretend that Angle's first stop was rehab. He'd be there for what, 9 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks?
Significantly more time than he spent unemployed.
Sure, they didn't even wait the 12 weeks. They were like, well, 3 weeks, it's enough time. He got his whole life cleaned up. Let's sign him.
Sure.
So yeah, what the hell can you do? We'll a lot of questions will be answered on Thursday.
Just out of it's maybe crossing the line into two more, but have you started writing the Kurt Angle obituary story yet?
No, but I'm sure, you know, I mean, Dave really already did.
Yeah.
When he
broke down the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know, it's inevitable. It sounds horrible to. I mean, I don't want to laugh about it. I mean, it's a very. I mean, it's such a sad story that that's really all you can do is sort of like, just. It's absurd. It's just completely absurd, and you know, it's going to end the way everybody thinks it's going to end. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not going to start a death pool or anything like that, and I don't want to see anybody start a death pool. And I know as I'm saying that, Hardcore Hogan probably or somebody is starting a Kurt Angle death pool thread. It's all fine and dandy and everything like that, but it is a human, and he's probably going to die soon. And you know, TNA. The thing that bothers me the most is, besides the fact that he's probably going to die, is TNA is going to be so sad
and stunned.
God,
how did this happen?
We're all devastated here at TNA. We didn't see it coming. It's just leaving behind a wife and 2 kids. God, such a tragedy.
We're having a very special episode of Impact dedicated to Kurt Angle.
Yeah, we're gonna dedicate this pay-per-view to him, and all the proceeds. Hey, you know what? All the proceeds are gonna go to his family. Everybody.
Sure.
We just want to give something back. I mean, Kurt Angle did so much for us here as a company. I mean, he really put us on the map. 8 o'clock p.m. on Thursday nights. We just want to give something back. You know.
This business sucks.
It really does. It's just the worst business in the world. It's just the worst. And, you know, it's just like, there are good people in this business. Somewhere.
Well, there's quite a few, really. It's just that there's
just
more bad people.
And it's, I don't know.
I didn't know this is bad people, but this is stupid people.
I don't want to, I just don't want to, I don't want to yell at anybody, but I mean, come on. All those people working for TNA that have to put this over is a great, just an awesome thing. You know, Jim Cornette's there. He's so happy to make this announcement.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tanae's plugging it. Oh, this is going to be so great. And everybody's going to say great things about it. And it's like, is it worth it to you? I mean, they all have families, so I can't, you know, what can I say?
I don't know.
I mean, I can't demand everybody else make a stand. But, you know, sometimes maybe you should make a stand.
Is it possible they're naive enough to think he's going to be okay? Okay.
No one's that stupid. Although there were plenty of people who were completely, like, there were a shocking number of people that should have known better in TNA that were all for the Russo decision. That right there tells me there are some idiots in this company.
Yeah.
But this is, there ain't nobody. There can't possibly be anybody in TNA that's like, you know, Angle's fine. This is all overblown. And it's like I just got things tonight from people that you know, from the WWE side saying, you know, Kurt was the worst there's ever been, the worst we've ever seen.
Think about that.
I mean, I heard this like when he was first released. I heard that. I was like, he's worse than Shawn Michaels ever was. He was real bad.
Yeah.
Worse than Brian Pillman, who has in fact passed on.
Yes.
Of a drug overdose.
Yeah.
And you know. And I heard it tonight. He's the worst there's ever been. This is not like the same person emailing me over and over. Hey, you know what? I don't know if I told you, but Kurt's the worst. It's person after person. He's the worst there's ever been. TNA just brings him in. Yeah. Thanks for saving my life, TNA, Kurt Angle said.
That was the most...
Thanks for saving... You know, back in WWE under that wellness policy where they wanted me to get off the pills, I was near death.
Yeah.
Now... Whew, I turned my whole life around. I'm fit, I'm strong again. What a miserable, wretched business this is. Just filled with some miserable, wretched people. I'm not going to single anybody out, but just, you know, if they're listening, deep down they know.
That's the really thing.
That's it.
It's not like no one's going to listen to the show in the company and learn anything.
No, I mean, it's just... I'm going to get off this subject. It's not like I can add anything. Let me add some insight about how stupid, how heartless this is. I'll add some insight about what assholes they are for... I'm not going to add any insight. Everybody knows. And everybody that's responsible for this knows. They don't care. Just some money.
There you go.
Just some exposure. Who cares? Leave a body. Make a little money off it while he's still around. LAX, AJ Styles, and Chris Daniels in an Ultimate X match. And while we're on the subject, I knew the announcement, and I watched the end of this, and I thought, you know what? They are determined to have somebody die on live TV.
If not Angle, then
somebody's going to die. The finish of this match, it was an all right match. There was some good stuff, some bad stuff. This is the story of this show. The end of this match was they have the Ultimate X cables, and they have the stand holding the cables up. And Chris Daniels climbs up onto the top of this lighting stand. And the ring is, 18 by 18, so what's half of that?
9. Okay,
so he jumps 9 feet from the top of this lighting stand towards the middle of the ring and grabs where the two cables come together, the X, where the belt's hanging. And, God, he landed and held on. And because he was jumping and he was like trying to fly like Superman, his body was horizontal.
Yes.
So when he hit the cables with his chest, his feet kept going. And his feet kept going, and they went underneath him, and they hooked onto the ropes. And if he had not held on...
If his fingers had lost their grip?
If his fingers had lost the grip, and his feet had kept going like that, Chris Daniels would have flipped over. He would have been upside down. He would have been 10 feet above the ring. And I'm not sure where he would have landed. I'm not sure if he landed in the ring, or because he jumped 9 feet and hit the middle and flipped over, if he would have actually kept going another 9 feet and went over the ropes to the floor. But Christopher Daniels would be dead right now. And this is no exaggeration.
He would have fallen in the ring, but he would not have landed well.
I tell you this as a gymnastics coach.
Yeah.
The way that he jumped and the way that he landed, if he had not held on, if he had slipped, he would be dead. Or at least severely injured. And you think they thought about that? I'm sure they thought about it. Do you think they cared? Well, no. If they would have cared, they would have said, hold on a second, we're not doing this spot. It's just like the cage walk with Elix Skipper.
Yeah.
The fucking guy could have died.
Very easily.
And they're like, yeah, well, let's do it. Why?
I don't know.
If I were going to make a stand, I'd just stop covering this company.
I guess that's true.
But I want to pull it. That's why I can't single anybody out, and that's why, I'm not going to pull a sure dog here. I'm covering this business. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to cover everything, but I will not, I will flat out say bunch of assholes in TNA. Just a bunch of assholes.
Well, the other thing I say about the Daniels thing is
I don't give a fuck if Daniels thought he could do it.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
It's like me going, there have been people that have fallen out of airplanes from thousands and thousands of feet up.
Yeah.
And they just happen to land in, trees.
Sure.
And they hit all the branches on the way down and ended up living.
Yes.
Okay, so Chris Daniels like, you know what, I got this stunt for the next TNA pay-per-view. Let's have a match on a fucking airplane. And for the finish, I'll take a bump out, but we'll do it over a forest. There's a good chance I'll land on the top of the trees, and I'll hit every branch on the way down, and I'll be okay. Or are they just supposed to go, oh, well, he wants to do it. Let's just let him do it.
I see your point. And
no, you tell a fucking guy no.
Yeah.
I actually felt bad. I'm going to read this email that I sent to somebody in WWE tonight, ranting about Kurt Angle. And I felt bad after I sent it, and I'll tell you why after I read it. Let me find my sent items here. This may take a little while.
Now, who did you send this to?
Oh, yeah. Let's just name a name here on the air, Vinny.
Just checking. If I guess, will you tell me?
It is one line, and the line is, nice to see no one gives a fuck about anyone in this business. I sent this email, and then I sort of felt bad, because I did actually send it to somebody in WWE, and they actually, in some way, did give a fuck. You can say that, they got rid of him because they didn't want him to die, but hell of a lot more than TNA did.
They signed him.
They're bringing him in to die, basically.
Some guys are signed to interchange titles. Some guys are signed to put guys over. Kurt Angle's been signed to die.
WWE, I mean, there are some assholes, mostly one, actually, at the very, very top. I mean,
there's more than one, but there's one important one.
The Eddie Guerrero stuff, I mean, assholes. Just utter, complete assholes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there have been guys, they saved Eddie's life once.
They saved Eddie, they saved Regal.
They saved Regal's life once. I mean, there is, I think that Vince McMahon in some way, there is a part of him that cares. And I sure as shit don't see that part of anybody in TNA.
Yeah.
At least nobody in a position to hire Kurt Angles and let Chris Daniels do this stuff. But anyway, that match was 3.5.
Match was really good.
The finish was incredible, and the place went nuts for it.
Yeah.
So, there's that, but... So we had Umaga and Jeff Jarrett in the country whipping match, as I noted earlier, and just a match. It was a WWE Jarrett-Umaga match.
It was a bad Jarrett-Umaga match.
The only thing missing was Hillbilly Jim, which sort of made me sad. So,
there's one fan I think may have been, actually.
Yeah.
There was another fan who may have been Jack Evans.
Seriously. And they had a bunch of people around the ring, and they whipped Jarrett. I've just given up on this report.
I see.
I've given up on this favor. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't even know why I gave it so much attention early, because now that I've really thought about it, it's like, they don't deserve any of this. They really don't.
No. Anyway,
Joe won. And I will say another thing, just because it's pointing out how stupid these fucking people are. Joe wins, and he goes to the table and grabs the heavyweight title. And the announcers are like, why is Joe grabbing the belt? It was a non-title match. And then Jim Cornette comes out. He jumps in the ring, and there's Samoa Joe walking in the back with the heavyweight title.
Of the planet Earth.
Which maybe he's won, maybe he hasn't. No one knows. It seems to be a mystery, according to the announcers. And Cornette's just like, hey, you guys may want to be here for the announcement. Doesn't even acknowledge the existence of this title belt.
Nope.
Or the fact that Joe doesn't even bother announcing who's the champion. It's like it didn't even matter.
And for all we know, Joe may have just walked to the back. And maybe walked right out the door and never returned. We never saw Joe stop. We never saw Joe stick around for the announcement. We don't know.
Right there, the NWA belt was worth less than the YWF belt. At least you celebrated.
At least I fought for it, yeah.
You marked out for it.
I did.
The fucking match was over, you still had that goddamn belt on. At least you cared.
Mm-hmm.
This is just like, no one gave a shit. I guess Joe cared because he went and got it, but Jarrett wasn't bitching a whole hell of a lot. He was sort of yelling at him. He didn't go after him to get it.
Yeah.
Joe just sort of kept walking, and then Cornette was out and like, well, guys, your wacky match is over. Let's get on to the real business.
The important stuff's going to happen.
We're bringing in Kurt Angle.
Yeah. For the purposes of this show, I will say that it's a good thing they had this announcement, because if this match had been the main event, what a fucking horrible way to end the show.
Well, even the announcement was a horrible way to end the show.
Well, it is, but at least the live people.
At least the people went crazy for it, you know. And boy, talk about a bunch of fans not having a clue.
Yeah. The Impact Zone crew, the same people who are there every week, don't know the internet. They don't know. They don't know.
I would like to conclude today with a good hearty fuck you to TNA, a good hearty fuck you to Dixie Carter, and just I got nothing more to say.
You can throw one.
I'm already banned. I don't get TNA guests anymore.
Sure.
Not like, well, it sure didn't stop me before. I should note that, but it's going to stop me even less now. God damn it. Fuck them all.
You can throw one Kurt's way.
No.
Victim of his own.
Kurt, I really do see Kurt Angle as just. I see Kurt as a sympathetic figure. It's strange. But he.
Well, no, it's not strange.
He's a guy. I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, if you've got a major issue, everybody else should take care of you and that sort of thing. I think that everybody should handle their own issues. But Kurt Angle is such that he is. I mean, he will destroy himself. He will.
We would discuss this.
And sometimes, you know, sometimes you need to do what you can to not, you know, try and do your part. You know what I mean?
Others, not...
Well, I mean, we can't live Kurt Angle's life.
No.
We can't make him stop doing something. Kurt has to do all this on his own.
Yeah.
But with that said, we can do our part. You didn't see me scrambling to get Kurt Angle on Figure 4 Daily. God damn, I could get a huge guest, Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I guess you could. It hadn't occurred to me, but yeah.
Everybody can do their part. I mean, if this were not my job, I can tell you I wouldn't buy the pay-per-views when Kurt Angle was on. I don't need to send them a little money and let them know they're doing the right thing. Everybody can do their part. That's all I got to say about that. So Kurt Angle to me, he is what he is because of who he is, and he is what he is because of who he is. I realize I just repeated that, but
you did put the emphasis on a different word, though.
Sure. So it's
let's end.
I'm gonna wrap this up before I commit suicide here. I'll do my part just by killing myself. Then I won't have to worry about potentially doing any damage to the wrestling business.
All problems solved.
I just won't be around. So, anyway, kids, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with God. Now it's like WWE. They're the good guys.
They are. They're the guys in the white hats.
It's like I'm gonna support Raw tomorrow. I really am.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush, adrenaline rush.
Well, Nails, we're out of time here for your segment, unless you watch TNA.
Sorta.
You did?
Well, it was on.
Okay.
I saw these weird-looking fake press conferences, and I said, "What the hell's going on?" And I saw, what's his name? Angle.
Kurt Angle, yes.
He was very, probably looking for it, but he was very bloodshot.
Very bloodshot.
Yeah, it's just the very beginning of the show, I believe, or it might even been a commercial. Just the angle on it. He just didn't look right. But
So this didn't hook you, this whole deal here?
Well, it was just confusing when we're doing press conferences. I don't know. TNA seems to think everybody knows what's to shoot and what's not as far as reality and everything. They had Luger talking bullshit. I don't know.
Well, that's as good a recap as any right there.
I'm sorry. It was just weird seeing those press conferences.
Well, this is good to get a casual fan's perspective of TNA.
Well, I'm not even sure I'm a casual fan. I just had it on because I forgot to change the channel.
Well, you're a UFC fan that didn't change the channel, which, let me go over the quarters here for everybody, by the way, that is interested in how this show did in the ratings, since I put up some brief notes, but since this is a members-only show, and I reveal more information here than I do for you fucking freeloaders, the Ultimate Fighter did a 1.32, a 1.59 in males 18 to 49, and a 2.1 in males 18 to 34, 1.7 million viewers. TNA did a 0.88 with a 1.02 in males 18 to 49, a 1.28 males 18 to 34, average audience of 1 million viewers. The TNA quarters, the show opened at a 1.01. So they only lost a little bit of the UFC audience. Then it immediately went to a 0.92, then a 0.87, and then a 0.73.
Can I see when those press conferences kept coming on and see if everybody turned it then?
Well, throughout the entire show, actually. There were many of them. But the final segment in the ring with Jim Cornette making his big announcements, and Luger and Bagwell and Joe and Jarrett, 0.73, kids. Woo! Hell of a segment.
What was the headline, or what was the main event of that show?
Vince,
Jarrett?
help me out here.
There was a confrontation with...
Oh, there was a six-man.
Was the six-man the
main
main
The
event?
six-man was the actual wrestling main event, but the...
Okay, there was a something they were pushing all... Oh, God. Help me out here. Sting? Jarrett Sting, right?
Well, that's the main event of the next pay-per-view.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, they were pushing that. That's what I noticed the whole time, so... I guess,
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
Would you buy it?
What?
All right.
Means no.
I'll let you pay me to come watch it.
Nails, we're going to pay you. We're going to cut you off now, dude.
All right.
We'll talk to you next week about Ultimate Fighter and another preview for Tito Can, see if you change your mind and all that good stuff.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Bye.
Hasta luego. Show is starting to drag with Nails' TNA recap there, so let's get back to action here. TNA, Like I said, it was a good thing I was drinking during this show, because otherwise I would have really had some passionate hatred for this show. This was one of those shows where it was decided, we're going to put 18 million fucking things on TV, and hopefully it'll all get over. And instead, none of it got over.
No, none, zero. Nothing important happened in the show, nothing worthwhile.
They had a Lance Hoyt-Jeff Jarrett match for no reason, which Jarrett wrestled in his street clothes for no reason. And you know what? I don't know if Vince Russo was responsible for this or who was. But explain to me how you can have a fucking match and two guys can brawl outside of the ring for like 5 minutes, not get counted out, get back into the ring and be whipping each other with the belt and not get disqualified. And then one guy starts hanging another guy with the belt, and then when he doesn't break on 5, he gets disqualified.
I don't have an answer for you.
I don't have an answer either.
I was thinking more outside of just the, no, it not making sense, but worse, it was not entertaining. I was sitting there watching who's going to turn on an Impact and say, oh boy, it's Jeff Jarrett beating up Lance Hoyt. I'm sticking around.
Yeah. So they had this shitty match with just the world's shittiest finish. And then, let's see what happened, because there were about 18 million things. So I've got to study my notes profusely right here. Let's see. Jarrett hit him with gimmicks, you suck chance. Jarrett cut a promo. He wanted his belt back. Said Cornette had until the end of the show to give him the belt back, otherwise there was going to be some big trouble. Actually, that was the gist of it. That wasn't as bad as I thought.
No, the promo was actually fine. There's the crap before it that watered it down.
Okay, I was looking in the wrong spot for the idiocy. So then we had Jim Cornette presiding over a Bound for Glory press conference, signed a Monsters Ball match, Samoa Joe, Raven, Runt, and Abyss. The best part was every time he mentioned a match, people were just like... So he announced that one.
Well, just keep in mind, he announces a random violent four-way with Samoa Joe in it for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
That was the gist of this.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Then we had Senshi and Chris Sabin for the X title signed. Jeff Jarrett versus Sting, belt versus retirement. And he said before the end of the night, he would reveal how Kurt Angle would be involved with the pay-per-view. Before the end of the night, said Jim Cornette, this would be revealed. It was revealed, in fact, in the final segment, which, as noted earlier, did a .73.
Yeah. I think people figured out the involvement would not be wrestling on this particular show, so they didn't care.
Fucking on fire, this TNA promotion here. Samoa Joe faced Raven. Joe teased a tope, got whacked in the head. He came out with the title belt, by the way. Runt came in and attacked Raven. Joe then choked out Raven, who took forever to submit. This whole thing only went about 2 minutes. Then Joe attacked Spike. He threw him into Raven outside. Then Abyss hit the ring, with his music, mind you. And he attacked Joe. Joe hit him with a boot. Then Raven attacked Abyss. Then Spike jumped in. Then Joe took the belt, which is not his belt, and left. And then when he was on the ramp, he ran into Cornette, who told him Jarrett wanted the belt. He said if Jarrett wanted the belt, he could come get the belt. This was all packed in about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Thumbs down, shit.
Thumbs way down, very shitty. Worst of all to me was that after they booked Joe in the random four-way match for Bound for Glory, they then tried to build an angle to have it make sense.
Yes.
They did it backwards.
Yes. Always great. Rhino did a promo at the press conference. Said head injury or not, he was going to take out Christian. I love this continual reference to this mysterious head injury. Yeah. He described they were going to be in an 8-mile street fight in Detroit, and then he said, quote, that means anything goes. Every match is tip match.
Oh, yeah.
Bound for
how to
Glory.
have them, and 8 million ways to say anything goes.
Team 3D return. Bubba is fatter and whiter than ever, as you noted, and Devon is also fatter than ever.
Not whiter, though.
That is true. He is just as black as he's always been. They destroyed 2 jobbers with the 3D. Bubba cut a promo. They're back. He said TNA offered them a title shot whenever they wanted it, but they were going to do it the old-fashioned way. They were going to start at the bottom and work their way up. What dumbasses.
Yeah, well...
I understand fighting champions and all that, but I don't know.
It may have been better for them not to verbalize it, but...
Of all the things on this show, this is the least thing to complain about.
Yeah, plus logically it makes sense because at the time being you have LAX feuding with AJ and Daniels, plus the Naturals are allegedly in line for a title shot, so...
Well, why not just have them not announce they can get a title whenever they want?
That's a good question.
Thank you. So then they cut back to the press conference, and Lex Luger was there. I should note that Luger and Bagwell were all over the show, and they never explain why. They just mysteriously are part of the company now. They're just at the press conference.
They were never identified as this. I guess you're supposed to assume they are just Sting's spokesman.
Oh!
All they did was talk about how great Sting was.
Oh, he needed 2 spokesmen?
Yes, and he chose Lex Luger and Buff Bagwell.
They just belched on the air.
He did.
Luger looks no younger than 60. Life's
been hard for Mr. Luger.
Yeah. God, I'm looking at this liquor right here as I say that. Oh, well, what the fuck. I'm going to have another little sip.
This is for you, Lex.
That's for the total package. Bagwell was there, said the same thing. Sting's in the best shape of his life, they said. Yeehaw. Then we had more Luger and Bagwell after commercial, a sit-down interview. Still no explanation as to why they're there. Just spokespeople. Jarrett sent Eric Young to go get the belt. Nothing became of this. He goes, you need to go get the belt for me, goddammit. And that was the end.
Oh, Eric said
no.
Eric
That's what
said
it was.
no.
Okay, so something did become of it. I apologize, everybody. There wasn't a culmination to this little angle here.
I guess. Nothing. There was no.
I've got to say one thing, everybody listening to this right now. If anybody's listening to this and they're going to tear apart our review and blame my drinking for the fact that we're fucking things up, don't. Because what really happened was something is horribly wrong with the Spike feed, and it affected both Ultimate Fighter and TNA. Both shows were horribly digitized.
We were basically watching these shows on a bad internet connection,
yeah.
It looked like.
There were long moments of nothing happening, like the screen would freeze and you couldn't hear anything. So if we did miss anything, I apologize. But what we saw was shit. So if the screen just digitized the good stuff, that's amazing. I don't think that happened.
And it didn't ruin that much stuff.
Sabin, Sanjay Dutt, and Jay Lethal versus Alex Shelley, Senshi, and Johnny Devine. Sabin, Dutt, and Lethal are supposed to be the baby faces. Meanwhile, everybody was chanting for Alex Shelley and chanting, no more jackass.
This angle has failed.
Explain what happened in this match, Vinny.
First thing that happened was there were 6 guys in the ring having a match. Meanwhile, Christian came out to do commentary, and the camera was focused on Christian for the majority of it. Then Rhino came out, and he and Christian had a pull apart, and there's matches still going on, and they were still doing stuff, by the way. There was not a headlock we were missing. This went on for the first segment. I don't know, 3-4 minutes.
So they went to commercial to get everything cleaned up, and when they returned, it was still going on.
The match was still going on, and Don West, I believe one of them, either West or Sinead, but one of them was apologizing to the men in the ring for not concentrating on them.
Yeah, it was Don West going, I'd like to be able to tell you what's going on in the ring right now, but I can't see a thing with Rhino and Christian here.
Yes.
I was like, okay, the pay-per-view, Mike Tenay didn't know what the fuck was going on. Now we're watching TV and Don West can't see a goddamn thing.
Brilliant.
That's great stuff. That's what we need as our commentators to go, I hope you guys are paying attention because we're not. That's always great. Go on.
Oh, they did some stuff. The crowd loves Alex Shelley. He's the only babyface in this, and
supposed to be a heel, by the way.
Yeah. And the Jackass guys brought in a briefcase of some kind. I don't know what was in this or what was supposed to be in it, but it ended up in Johnny Devine's hands. Then it got kicked into his face, and they pinned him.
Yeehaw, kids! That's your main event.
Yeah,
that's right. Then we had the main event, which was Jim Cornette doing a promo, introducing Luger and Bagwell. People went. They announced that Sting was in the best shape of his life. Meanwhile, this was doing a .7. Just want to throw that in one more time. Cornette plugged the main event again, announced Angle will be the special enforcer. At which point, Jarrett immediately stormed out, and he was so angry. He was so mad that Kurt Angle was signed as a special enforcer that he never mentioned it.
No, he didn't care.
He didn't say a thing.
He had more important matters to discuss.
God damn it, I want my belt back, Cornette. You're supposed to be the big kahuna here. Get my belt back. And this ended up with Jarrett attacking Luger and Buff, who took some of the most horrible bumps you've ever seen in the history of wrestling. And then after they were all thrown outside, Joe hit the ring, brawled with Jared as the show ended, and it was a mess.
So no buys.
Utter mess.
Thumbs down for TNA this week.
Thumbs down.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush now.
All right, we're going to talk about TNA.
Do we have to?
This fucking show.
This show sucked.
I read reports that this one was better than last week. That's like saying that the Hindenburg was less disastrous than the Titanic, because...
they both sucked.
Yeah, they were both horrible. But I think the defining moment of this show was when they did a 20-second recap at the beginning and still managed to put 576
oh my God.
things into this recap.
I wasn't sick yesterday when we watched it, and the 20-second recap gave me a headache. It hurt. It caused me physical pain.
Borash opened the show, and he's like, a lot of meetings are going on. And I don't know. There's something about that. Here's one of the things about TNA that just annoys me. There's always a meeting going on. There's always something happening with TNA management.
Yeah.
It's like WWE is a $456 million operation, actually about $400 million now. I don't like to exaggerate here on this show.
No, we're all about factual accuracy.
Factual accuracy is about a $385 million company. But the point is, they don't have meetings nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days. They do in TNA, though.
Yeah.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
And the meetings always run late and go into the show.
Yeah. So he's like, there's a bunch of meetings going on and blah, blah, blah. And they went right into a room, and there was Cornette ranting with the C Team. He said there was a Bound for Glory poster behind him that read, and I quote, single biggest wrestling pay-per-view event of all time.
Yes.
Not TNA.
Well, the poster said TNA, but when Cornette quoted it, he did not read that part. He skipped ahead to single most.
Yeah. So the phone was ringing, Kurt Angle was coming, everybody wanted to wrestle in TNA, he couldn't get his goddamn belt back, the whole 9 yards. He finally said there's too many guys here. We're going to have a match tonight, and whoever loses is fired. Already a mess.
Yeah, this is a 55, less than that, like a 30-minute build of someone losing their job.
Team 3D faced Matt, Bentley, and Kazarian. Best part of this was Shane Douglas did commentary, and they had the Naturals stand behind him, and they just stood there.
They were the Naturals. Just two wooden men.
It was like Jeff Jarrett or whoever's in charge of this fucking operation goes, stand back there and act like you're watching. And so they had to act like they were watching. They couldn't just watch the match. They had to act like they were watching the match. That meant they had to look at the match, and then they had to shake their head and scratch their chin. And
whisper to each other.
Point at the ring and then whisper each other as if to say, hey, right there in the ring right now, a move is being executed. That's what these guys were doing.
Yeah. They were scouting. They said, when Bubba Ray punches his opponent, it hurts. We should avoid Bubba Ray's punches.
I have never been up for an Oscar, Vince. Okay?
No, that's true.
That is true. But I'm going to tell you a little something about acting.
All right.
Tom Pritchard actually made this comment. He must have read an acting book or something. Because he said, don't act, react.
I actually took an acting class in high school. And
really?
You'd
never know from watching your performances, but...
Actually, this is true. From junior high to college, I took beginning drama 7 years in a row.
How are you such a horrible actor?
Well, it's always beginning drama.
I see.
But my acting... I used to call him acting teacher in high school. His favorite book was called Acting is Reacting.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a goddamn strong drink right there.
I better have another.
I read a great acting book. It was so great I can't remember what it was called. But the point is, this is an acting tip for all of you aspiring wrestlers or current wrestlers out there, okay? If they go, we want you to go out and act like you're watching this match. Okay? Eliminate the word act and eliminate the word like, and you'll be on the way. Just fucking go out and watch the match. You don't have to fucking scratch your chin. You don't have to point at the ring as if to say, look, there's a match going on.
Look, wrestler.
In the ring right. Just watch the fucking match. That's really all there is to it. And if somebody does something scary and almost dies, feel free to freak out.
Yeah, mark out.
Just feel free. Jesus, these guys look like dorks.
We should say, if someone badly screws up a move, do not chant, you fucked up.
There is a...
Restrain yourselves, please.
Sure.
A little decorum.
So anyway, I don't even remember what happened in the match. Team 3 won.
Yeah.
And then they said that And I'd like to note, by the way, that unlike 95% of the people in this business that go away for 6 months and just come back looking awesome, Bellies just came back looking fatter.
They are, in fact, enormous.
They took 6 months off and went to the buffet every day.
And Bubba, I think, is 6 shades paler.
He may have gotten whiter somehow over the summer, which is even more impressive.
Yeah, so they did this match, and AMW came out to watch, and the James Gang came out to watch, and the Naturals were on commentary, and this was a simple little basic tag team match. There was 5 teams involved.
Yes.
Because it's TNA, and everyone's got to get on the show.
So, anyway, then we had a Jim Mitchell Abyss promo. They were in the ring. They had been alerted that they needed to get the belt back, and if they did, Abyss was going to get a title shot at the winner of Sting versus Jarrett at the pay-per-view. Mitchell said, Joe, we want the goddamn belt back. You can either bring it out here, or Abyss can go back and get it. So Joe chose option A. He ran down and was immediately chokeslammed by the Abyss. So then out ran Jeff, and he grabbed the belt, but Abyss was not happy, and they played tug of war. Then Joe jumped up and played ping pong with Jeff Jarrett. And then they sent him packing, and in the melee, Joe grabbed the belt and left with it.
Let me summarize that for you in 2 sentences. Joe got punked out, Joe got lucky, and grabbed the belt and ran away.
Okay, keep that in mind, everybody. So then we had some LAX clips from down in Mexico, which was actually very sad because Antonio Pena died this evening.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and I was watching that going, God, that sucks. But, yeah, they beat the hell out of AJ Styles. LAX destroyed 2 jobbers.
This was a tremendous thumbs up A+ grade A squash.
Yeah.
1 minute or less, just kill the fuckers and get it done.
Yes.
I heartily approve of this match.
Yes.
This is how a squash should be done.
Indeed. And really nothing more to say about it. Eric Young faced Shark Boy, Elix Skipper, David Young, Enormous Smelling. I like they got an Eric Young and a David Young. Both men are such valuable name brands that you cannot give them a new last name.
I'm not sure if this says more about TNA or me, but I didn't realize there were 2 Youngs in the match until right now.
Yeah, Eric Young and David Young.
You're right.
And
fuck.
Eric Young lost, in fact. Larry Zbyszko came out. There wasn't enough of a clusterfuck.
Oh, yeah, not enough of this 5 random men in the ring.
No.
They had to scoot up more. Larry Zbyszko came out. He had his wacky wig on, and he came to ringside, and he's unhappy with Eric for Christ knows what reason. So Eric yanked his wig off. Larry ran away, and Eric put the wig on, and he was mugging for the crowd. He's the only guy in the whole segment that was any over. And then Larry ran back out, and what did he do? He whacked him with something, didn't he?
He whacked him with a golf club.
That's right, because he's Larry, he's the golfer, yes. So yes, he whacked him with the golf club, and Eric got pinned.
Yeah.
So it's all going somewhere. I don't really care that Eric lost, but just this segment was just a fucking disaster.
Well, no, actually, you know what? I got to say this, that the fans, this got a major reaction.
Yeah?
It wasn't built up enough. I mean, seriously, dude. For 3 months or whatever, there's been this Eric Young is afraid to get fired storyline. You don't even build it up for 1 week.
No.
You don't go
30 minutes.
You don't go, next week we're going to have 5 guys in a ring, Eric Young, you're one of them, and the loser gets fired. And give him a whole show to freak out about it. No. 30 minutes, and then he just does a job. I will say that there were actually people legitimately sad. And there were also a lot of people waving goodbye to him. That was a good one. So,
thumbs down.
Thumbs down just because just give it a week.
Everything about this was retarded. Every step of the execution was a complete failure.
Borash interviewed Christian and Jarrett, who are teaming up together in the main event tonight. And Jarrett vowed to publicly execute Sting's career. How do you do that? Fire him?
Perhaps you kill him.
How do you publicly execute a career?
Uh-huh.
So then Christian was ranting about, he took credit for them moving to prime time. Very high comedy. And said he was a leader, Jarrett could follow his lead in the tag match, blah, blah, blah. Christian and Jarrett faced AJ and Truth. I guess Truth was replacing,
Daniels and Truth.
Daniels and Truth.
Because AJ got beat up in Mexico.
Yeah, that was what it was. Daniels and Truth. By the way, they did a shitty job alerting us as to why Truth was replacing AJ Styles, but what do you expect from TNA? They just assume everybody knows everything. Best part was when Don West said the TNA was taking off like a rocket ship. Not a rocket ship.
This is a very tasteless Challenger joke here, but I won't make it.
I wasn't going to make a Challenger joke, but I was going to say that the similarities between TNA and NASA are remarkably similar. Just millions of dollars being spent and nothing to show for it.
Oh, there you go.
That is the story of both organizations. Heat on Truth, broke down in a 3-way, blah, 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 and ended up with Homicide hitting Daniels in the ass with a slapjack.
He hit him right in the left cheek.
Yeah, and that led to the pin. So, within 10 seconds, they tried to build up Jarrett versus Christian and LAX versus AJ and Styles for the pay-per-view. And then afterwards, Joe ran out, and Jarrett low-bridged him, and he flew outside like a geek. And I'm just going to read this verbatim because so much stuff happened. He ran at Jeff, and Jeff low-bridged him, sending him outside like a geek. Jarrett celebrated with the belt, but then Christian gave him the unprettier. So now Christian was celebrating with the belt, and in ran Rhino to gore him. The belt was laying on the mat. Joe grabbed it and ran off. So, Vince, recap your Joe recap from earlier.
Joe ran out and immediately got punked. Some fluky stuff happened, and Joe was lucky to retrieve the belt and run away.
So for all of you that thought, man, Vince Russo is going to know how to book this Samoa Joe.
They are killing him segment by segment.
He was killed before, and he's even a bigger geek now.
Every time he shows up, he ends up worse off.
Yeah.
He should skip next week's show.
He should just go home. So anyway, next week Bobby Roode announces his new manager.
That was the final hook. That was next week, folks. You're gonna find out who Bobby Roode's manager is. Stay tuned.
Tune in fucking
next week,
kids.
He's getting a manager.
Vinny, please, what's wrong with you?
Sick.
Did you already finish that drink?
Close.
Why don't you finish that off?
All right.
I don't need you staying the night at my house. That's the last thing I need.
Me too, by the way. I don't want to stay here.
I picture waking up and everything just smells.
That's fair. I'll be honest. That's a fair prediction.
And I have seen you in the morning, and I've said it before, but you are just the most ogreish, disgusting beast.
I know. And again, this is totally fair, and I fucking hate mornings.
Vince, I gotta tell you something. Not that you'll ever get married or even have a girl. But if you do, make sure you live with her for a while before you get married. Because if you guys do the whole, we're not going to live together till we get married, the day after, the fucking first day she wakes up and looks over at you and just goes, what the fuck is this in my bed?
Get out.
That'll be the end of the relationship.
That'd be sad.
It's sad but true.
I know.
You know this is true.
Oh, I believe me.
Okay.
I don't, nothing you said in the past minute has been wrong. It's been harsh maybe, but it's been accurate.
Sure. But harsh because, frankly, I'm a dick, but...
You've been brutally honest. Tough love, as Buddy would say.
It is, but I don't love you. It's tough hate.
Now you're being a dick.
I'm going to drink a little more of this before we get an ECW.
Asshole.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush.
TNA was the Russo show, and what a show it was. Vince Russo. All the threads praising Vince Russo magically vanished. I don't know what the hell happened.
Yeah, we gave him a chance, guys.
Maybe people are watching the shows now. It was once again an Impact moving at 8,000 miles an hour. The show did get a .9, which is up a bit. I do not have quarters yet, for those of you wondering, so hopefully we will have those on Monday and look at the quarter-hour breakdowns. But I would suspect Angle's first interview did a good quarter, but I do not know for sure. And we'll see if the ladder match stopped the rating from dropping, because the last, really as long as I can remember, the show starts high and just people turn off throughout the show. So I don't know if that happened on this show, but we'll soon find out. Joe's in the ring with the belt. He said he was going to explain why he'd stolen the title. He said the answer was, for the last 4 years, the belt had been held hostage by the worst of men. He said that... dropped a bunch of names, said the belt represented Harley Race, Dory Funk Jr., blah, blah, blah. At the pay-per-view, he was going to hand the belt to the winner of the Jarrett Sting match, provided the winner agreed to give him a title shot. So Christian came out, and they started arguing back and forth. Christian said he was taking his belt back tonight. And ultimately, to make a long story short, they agreed to a ladder match for free on this show for a title neither of them held, and neither of them would technically win if they got it.
Correct.
They specifically said there are no win streaks on the line.
Yeah.
It's not a wrestling match, it's a fight. And they were fighting for a belt that was not on the line.
Yeah. The only stupid thing you missed was that they gave away a ladder match between two undefeated guys for free.
I didn't skip that. I said they were going to do it tonight for free.
Okay, there's so much stupid stuff in there. I missed it, but yes, everything about this was retarded.
Conan was doing a promo, and AJ and Daniels attacked them backstage, and there was a fence. There was a fence over by the back. And they brawled by this fence. I don't know what they said. Something like this is where LAX comes out. Or something
they make
like
their
that.
entrance to that thing, but you're usually fast forwarding through it.
So they brought him back there, and they threw Daniels into it and shut the door.
Right.
So I guess AJ could not get in.
That was the idea.
And then just refs came out from
on the LAX side.
Yeah.
Yeah. So AJ was too dumb to go around the back way in the building. I don't know.
Who the fuck?
And even worse, it took them forever to get out there. They brought from the locker room, down the ramp, around the ring for a bit, over the fence. This took like 6 minutes. Just fight.
I'm trying to think about this was like a. I couldn't take any more of that. This was like a cartoon where maybe it was sort of like that Big Show deal where Big Show's banging on the door when Kane's in there, which became a famous drop, and then Kane just walks around the corner. It's like it wasn't even a cage. It would have been like if you lock somebody in a house and then you pan down, it's not a real house. It's just one wall. Why don't you just go around? God, that pissed me off. That pissed me off so much you're staying on mute for a second. Last week, Bobby Roode vowed that he would reveal his manager this week. That was how they went off the air. Bobby Roode said, next week I'm going to reveal who my manager is. So this week he said, I'm going to reveal my manager at the pay-per-view. It was a swerve or something. He just didn't reveal them. He didn't reveal a pair of large breasts. So the manager's Tracy, for those of you that are confused. That's who the breasts belong to. Those are not Bobby Heenan's breasts, for those of you that might have been confused. But, yeah, so bait and switch. So then we had... I know you're just going to sit there in silence, but...
What the hell are you going to add about Bobby Roode and Tracy?
Nothing. I just turned you up because I'm a nice guy. You want me to turn you back down?
Oh, no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Jerry Lynn was talking to Shark Boy, Sanjay Dutt, Chris Sabin, and Jay Lethal. He told them everyone thought they were jackasses, so they should knock it off. And Sabin told them to come down to the ring and see what the X Division was all about. And what it's all about is just generic high spots, apparently. It was Lethal, Dutt, Sabin, and Sharky versus Alex Shelley, Petey Williams, Senshi, and Johnny Devine. It was a X Division TV match that we've seen 8 million times. Jerry was on the ramp and clapped, and then afterwards, Nash is back. He cut a promo. He appeared on the big screen. He said he'd only been gone 2 months, and the X Division had gone in the crapper. He said as a man who had built the X Division during his 30-year career, this sickened him. He said next week he would reveal the details of the Bound for Glory, Kevin Nash, Open Invitational, X Division, Gauntlet, Battle Royal. At which point everybody went... Yay! Because you see, he's a babyface.
Yeah. He's the only X Division guy who's over at all in any way.
He's a babyface.
Pretty much, yeah.
You know, Kevin Nash, several months back, made this claim that his side of the story was that TNA, these idiots at TNA, they want me to beat a bunch of X Division guys, and then they want me to go out there and slip on a banana peel, and somebody will pin me in the end. And I just think that's ridiculous. I can't do something like that. Just remember that, everybody. Just remember that over about the next 2 months now. So then we had Diamonds in the Rough versus Truth and Lance Hoyt. In the middle of the match, they just cut backstage. There was Raven, Abyss, and Spike having an argument. I have no idea what this is about because it was just boom, boom, boom. Apparently, they were all mad because Joe was disrespecting them by taking the spotlight away from the Monsters Ball match at the pay-per-view, which apparently he's having with these three men.
He already had it.
No, that's at the pay-per-view.
Oh, my bad.
When do you remember seeing this match?
Every TNA match I've seen, it seems like 100 times.
A Monsters Ball with Joe?
Maybe I remember the three-way. I don't know.
Anyway, that's coming up at the pay-per-view. They did the match. Simon Diamond yelled at Skipper and David Young afterwards for losing. Yet another manager mad at his team gimmick. We don't have enough of those. Everybody deserted Skipper, and then Truth came out, hugged him, and walked off. And 5 months of storylines done in about 18 seconds.
There you go.
Now, granted, nobody would give a shit about the 5 months of storylines, so I can only complain so much.
I disagree with you. Or they wouldn't have given a shit for the first 4 months. After a month, that last month that they teased a build-up and they finally paid it off, someone may have cared.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This would have been Simon Diamond and Elix Skipper and David Young.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So then we had the Angle interview. I don't want to make assumptions or make statements. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But there was a moment in this interview where I swear on a stack of holy Bibles that Kurt Angle was slurring his speech. And in fact, we rewound it, and you were like, is he wearing his mouthpiece?
I sincerely thought he was doing the interview while wearing his mouthpiece.
He was not.
Yeah.
There was no mouthpiece in. And I talked to somebody else that watched the YouTube deal of Angle showing up and meeting everybody in TNA, and he was like, he's so fucked up. I don't know the answer to this, but there was that one moment where he did not sound right at all. He said that he saw all he could do, he'd accomplished everything in WWE, saw TNA on the rise, decided to sign. Said his worst addiction was extra strength Vicodin after he'd broken his neck. So suggesting 1996 is what he was doing. He said his doctor suggested they wean him off, and he said, no, I want to stop today. And he didn't go on to continue this and say what his doctor responded when he said that, but I suspect his doctor said, are you fucking crazy? Hell no. Since going cold turkey from extra strength Vicodin is a good way to die. So that was his claim, and he said Vince McMahon once told him a cup of coffee and an Olympic gold medal didn't mean shit, which I'm sure Vince said. I'm not sure what that has to do with extra strength Vicodin, but they asked if he had anything to say to his former employer. He said he wanted Vince to just watch what he did, because he was going to see a Kurt Angle, the likes of which Vince never saw in WWE. That's for damn sure. This did not make me feel any better about Kurt Angle.
No, the worst part to me was where he pointed out that, TNA only had his health in mind, and they had a staff of doctors on hand called 24/7 to watch out for him and make sure he was okay. If you have a staff of doctors on call 24/7 to make sure you're okay, you're not okay.
Yeah,
I may have come out of this feeling significantly worse than before.
Yeah.
This is certainly not a rest my fears at ease or anything.
Next week, kids, he debuts on TV.
And that's retarded.
We'll see how that goes.
Put his health aside for a second. I guess we'll talk about it next week. But you give away Kurt Angle's first appearance in the Impact Zone for free?
Well, we want to get that rating up to a .95, which would round up to a 1.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Very important.
Well, clearly I don't know a thing.
No, you don't know a thing about wrestling.
So
Samoa Joe versus Christian in a ladder match for a belt neither guy held.
With neither guy's win streak on the line.
Neither win streak on the line.
With 40 minutes of build.
Yeah. Tenay said it was not a fight, but an out-and-out ladder challenge. Which
I don't know what it means either.
Somewhat similar to Kevin Nash's deal he's going to have at the pay-per-view. They worked very hard, and it was not bad at all. In fact, there was some good stuff here. It probably just should not have been
It should never have happened.
Free match with no build.
Yeah.
The announcers were trying to say that whoever got the belt would be the number one contender after Bound for Glory. Raven and Spike came in. Abyss and Raven brawled outside. Spike started climbing the ladder. But he didn't climb the ladder to get the belt. He just climbed the ladder so he could jump off it to the outside.
Yeah.
That's a real smart guy. So then Rhino hit the ring and gored Christian. Joe was standing there in the ring with the belt. Wait, no, what happened? Sorry, Christian actually got the belt first. But Joe climbed up and stole it. So Rhino then gored Christian, and Joe was standing there in the ring with the belt, He doesn't own that Christian had gotten first in a ladder match that wasn't actually a real ladder match and didn't count.
And then Impact ended.
Welcome to TNA, kids. Welcome to fucking TNA. Point 9, though. Fuck. Turning the whole thing around.
When's that show?
What show?
Bound for Glory.
Next Sunday. The day after Pride.
Okay.
Yeah. Kurt Angle's first appearance for Free Kids this Thursday on Impact.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush.
There's a very passionate argument on the board about the Kurt Angle angle with Samoa Joe. And my argument, of course, as many people are aware, is that it was bad booking. It was bad booking in the sense that the biggest pay-per-view of the year is this Sunday.
Of all time.
Well, they're saying of all time, but there were some Ken Shamrock pay-per-views. Coincidentally, Ken Shamrock was involved early on. That actually was Raven. Never mind. Forget what I just said there. Anyway, point was, this pay-per-view is coming up, and it's the biggest pay-per-view of the year for TNA. Maybe, arguably, the biggest pay-per-view of all time. And the final segment on the final show before this biggest pay-per-view of all time was Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe having a confrontation. Building up a match. The match they're building up is not taking place today. It is taking place next month. Now, there were all the arguments. Well, Brian, if you would have ended the show with Jarrett and Sting, that's not going to sell a whole lot of buys. There's the argument Sting wasn't even there at the Impact Zone, so you would have had to have Jarrett go out there alone and do this, and that wasn't. Here's the deal. Whose fault is that?
TNA's?
Whose fault is it that Sting wasn't there at the tapings? That's TNA's fault.
Yeah.
Okay, they should have had him there. All right? Whose fault is it that you can't think of anything great to do with Sting and Jeff Jarrett that would sell pay-per-views? Well, that's a pretty shitty main event then, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so something's wrong on TNA's end. Okay? The Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe thing, listen, it was great. Kurt Angle came out. The place looked at him like, my God, it's Kurt fucking Angle. He went face-to-face with Samoa Joe. He gave him a shoot headbutt. Samoa Joe was busted open. They went at each other. 1 million refs hit the ring. The place was going crazy. The internet is abuzz. I don't know what the rating is. We'll assume the rating is sky high. People are into this. Okay, great. That's fine. But that's not where it should have been. This is not when it should have taken place. It could have been done. Probably shouldn't have been done at the pay-per-view. You don't want to get...
If this is the main event for the next pay-per-view, it should have been done on the next Impact.
It should have been done... This exact angle should have been done on the final Impact before the next pay-per-view.
Okay.
You could have teased it. You could have done this, that, and the other thing. But this was just the wrong spot for it.
Let
me just say one more thing. WrestleMania. The WrestleMania main event, we'll just take, what was it this year? I don't even remember.
Cena and Hunter.
Oh, it's Cena and Hunter. Cena and Hunter is the big main event of WrestleMania. And if you go back, there was not a lot of interest in that match. It was, in fact, similar to the Jeff Jarrett Sting match. There really ain't a whole lot of interest going in. Okay? On the last Raw before WrestleMania, would you bring back Steve Austin and The Rock to have a stare down and a brawl, even though they're not going to be wrestling at WrestleMania?
Why no?
Well,
no, I would not. I would no such thing.
That would be probably a bad idea. Okay, you know what? Maybe Sting and Jarrett ain't working well, but you try. You try.
Yeah.
You may sell a few buys. The argument that people are going to pay $34.95 to maybe see a Joe Angle confrontation. You'll note that at the pay-per-view, Joe has vowed that he is going to be waiting for Kurt Angle to show up. This was not mentioned on TV.
Nope.
This was mentioned on TNAWrestling.com.
Indeed.
Okay? So they went off the air just with this brawl. There was no promise of anything happening at the pay-per-view. Nothing like that. So the idea that people are going to buy this pay-per-view to maybe see a Joe Angle confrontation when they just saw a great one for free, you're not selling a lot of pay-per-views.
No, I totally and completely agree with that. And I when this show was done, I had a lot of mixed emotions. Everything you just said is true. Everything you just said, I completely agree with. On top of that, the confrontation itself, the build to it just didn't make a lot of sense. Why the fuck should Kurt Angle care if Joe has the belt or not? Maybe Joe, or maybe Angle showed up and I guess I can explain this later. Maybe Angle showed up, he just wanted to find the toughest guy he could, and that was Joe. But there was just no reason for him to come out and face Joe in that spot. As you said, they're building to a match that is happening. They haven't even announced it yet. It will be happening in the next show. And I had all these thoughts about everything they had done wrong. I thought it was a mistake to have Angle's first appearance not be at the pay-per-view. I thought the first time he showed up in front of a crowd, it should have been on the pay-per-view. But when it was all said and done, TNA has a match that people really, really want to see.
And they're going to get it.
And
that's fine.
And you've not been able to see that in years, it feels like.
Yes.
So.
And that's all fine and good.
Yeah.
But it's not Sunday. That's my whole point.
The right thing at the wrong time.
I mean, the idea of just throwing away a pay-per-view because you know you've got a better main event the next month, to me, is completely ridiculous.
Well, it is. And it makes... No one cared about Jarrett and Sting a month ago. They care significantly less about it now.
I realized it was a great moment, but like I said, they could have done this on the final Impact before the next pay-per-view when these two... Or actually, probably not the final one, because you can build this one up for a while. But
they should not have done it at this show.
They should not have done it on this show. The main event is Jarrett and Sting. And if you're going to use Kurt Angle on this show live in front of the people... Do something like...
he should have, since the X Division's dead anyway, he should have killed all of them.
No, not even something like that. Just, you do some sort of deal at the end of the show that involves Jarrett and Sting, and Kurt Angle accidentally clotheslines Sting or something of that nature.
Yeah, that would have been better, actually.
Anything where you involve Angle in that feud, and you're telling people, okay, at the pay-per-view on Sunday, you're going to get Angle involved in this, or Angle's going to do this, or whatever. Give the people something to pay for. You don't give away something for free that they're not getting at the pay-per-view on Sunday. Yeah. You're building up an angle that they're not going to get if they buy the pay-per-view. It just was at the wrong time. The execution, the angle itself, everything was great. I mean, it ended with, like you said, it is a match everybody wants to see. That's great. I'm glad they've got a huge main event for November.
But the main event for October sure does blow.
They fucked up October.
October is fucked in the ass.
That pay-per-view is today, kids, the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. I am predicting 40,000 buys. And like I said, I'll go back to the speech I gave earlier. If this is 100,000 buys, I'll come on this show and say I was wrong. I got no problem with that.
Sure.
No problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I put up the apology today to the family of Corporal Kirchner.
The best part was when you said we retract our condolences.
Yes.
We are not sorry for you.
I am not sorry that he died. I made the announcement. I apologized. I told the story. I'm fine with that sort of shit. If this is 100,000 buys, I'm fine saying, okay, guess what? The fact that Joe and Angle had a confrontation and everybody talked about it, those people all bought the pay-per-view. This did 100,000 buys. I was wrong. I guarantee you I ain't going to be wrong. This show may do 40,000 buys. And for the biggest pay-per-view of the year, it should probably do a little bit better than that.
The only reason I can think of that I'm looking forward to in the show is the LAX and Styles and Daniels match.
Yeah.
Which is third or fourth on the card or something.
Let's run down the show rapidly here. I don't even remember much of the show except for the Angle confrontation, to be honest with you. And there are a lot of people talking about it. Don't get me wrong.
Well, we'll talk.
The point that I made on the board is 5 million people watch Raw. And there are many months where they get 125,000 of those people in the U.S. to actually buy a show. There's a gigantic difference between a lot of people watching your TV and caring enough to watch every single week and actually spending money on the product. And it's the same case here in TNA. You could have the whole fucking earth talking about Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. That does not necessarily mean one person is going to spend money to buy the pay-per-view. Let's move on here. Christian faced Norman Smiley. Since Russo's back, Norman Smiley's back doing his WCW gimmick in the football helmet and the shit like that. meant nothing. Christian beat him rapidly, and then he beat up Shark Boy.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out why Christian was beating up Shark Boy and Norman Smiley. And finally, Rhino came out to make the save. So, Rhino and the Fish, there's some sort of
Norman Smiley
animal bond.
Norman Smiley and the Fish have been tag teaming for a while.
I'm just saying that's why Rhino saved the Fish.
Well,
I was trying to figure out why Rhino would give a shit about Shark Boy.
He doesn't. He just wants to kill Christian.
I see.
You can then argue why he couldn't have come out before the beating. But
I wasn't listening to anything you said because I forgot we forgot something before that match.
All right.
Runt and Raven and Abyss came out and were just brawling. It was just like, we're gonna brawl here. And there's nothing like this wasn't a match. It wasn't even a scheduled confrontation. It was just the three men decided they were gonna fight each other. And they decided to get in the ring and do spots.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I were really mad at you and we were at Buddy's house, I'd slam you through a table and hit you with a pizza box or a pill bottle or something like that. I wouldn't drag you to the barn and put you in the ring and start throwing you into the ropes.
Yeah, exactly. I can't tell you how many fights I've seen break out in bars and guys start doing leapfrogs and.
Sure. And maybe there's a ring. There's a ring over in one of the corners, and they just get in there and start boxing.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're just doing this wacky fight, and suddenly out lurches. I can think of no other word to use than lurches. Out lurches Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
All I can tell you kids is that apparently this was so much worse live than what we saw on TV, which sounds impossible. When I watched this on TV, I was like, how could this be worse?
I don't know.
But it was. It was called the worst thing ever in the history of TNA.
You ask how could this be worse? The only thing I can say is I read one report that timed Jake Roberts' promo at 9 minutes.
Yes.
Which they somehow edited down to about 30 seconds of incoherent rambling.
Thankfully for Mike Tenay, we were alerted that Jake Roberts is going to be the referee. Okay, let me explain something to everybody.
Can Jake count to 3 at this point?
For those of you that think that a referee is being a referee is an easy job, I can tell you it's not. It's not a fantastically difficult job. It's not like you need an IQ of 140 to be a referee. But there are a lot of things that just watching on TV you don't think about. Such as, when dudes are doing high spots, you never see a referee run into. The referee's always out of the way. You have to always be out of the way. You have to know what's coming up. You have to be able to get out of the way. Unless, of course, there's a planned ref bump or something like that. But you never see Chris Benoit whipping Kane into the ropes and Kane bonks into the referee because the fucking ref is right there in the middle where he's trying to run.
Right.
There are a lot of different things that go into being a referee. Jake Roberts is going to have to be a referee in a fucking 3-way.
4-way. Joe's in the match, too.
Oh, Jesus. In a 4-way. He's going to have to somehow stay out of the way in this 4-way. That's hard enough for a normal dude. This will be a disaster of monumental proportions. I would not be surprised right now if Jake Roberts was not the referee at the pay-per-view. I'm just going to say that right now.
That's probably, yeah, I would say that's the more likely of the two scenarios.
Jake Roberts' odds are plus 1,500.
Sure. He came out, I don't know if stumbling is the right word, but he was having a great struggle to carry the snake on his back.
Yes.
Jake has seen better days. This was maybe half a step above Heroes of Wrestling.
Apparently, Jake tried to put the snake down Spike Dudley's trousers afterwards, and the owner of the snake ran out and confiscated the snake.
This takes away that half step then. This is as bad as Heroes of Wrestling.
This was horrible. Thank God they don't have live TV.
And sold no buys.
Yeah. So, Angle showed up in his limo, just right like that. He just showed up and there was Jeremy Borash. You'd think, like, his first appearance in the actual Impact Zone would be him coming out on the ramp. Nope, just showed up in the limo.
He said it was damn real and he left.
Sure.
That was that.
It's damn real. So then we had Sanjay and Jay Lethal in the back being fantastically uncool.
This is so awesome.
They were pretending to be Senshi, and then he came in and kicked their asses.
They had the bald wigs on. They were playing video games. They were mocking his deep voice and his methodical way of talking. And then he came in and just beat them to death. And it was awesome. I was cheering for him. I said, "Yay, Senshi, kill them!"
And this led to Senshi versus Jay Lethal. and Senshi beat him. And let me just recap here very quickly. There were two guys making fun of a man in wigs or bald head wigs and whatever. The one man ran in and beat both men up.
Right.
And then he faced the other man and beat him clean 1, 2, 3. Okay, that one man was supposed to be the heel.
Right.
Senshi's the heel.
Yeah.
These other two geeks are the baby faces.
This feud sucks. Yep.
I just shake my head.
This sold no bias.
So we got a Kevin Nash, Alex Shelley press conference. I was talking to somebody yesterday who was very unhappy about this whole thing. And I was just like, who cares? Here's the way I look at it. You could say Kevin Nash is killing the X, this, that, and the other thing. The X Division's dead.
Yeah.
As
witnessed by Senshi and Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Chris Sabin.
The X Division has been dead actually since Kevin Nash started his rampage. It's been dead. And the way I look at it now is it's already dead. So if Kevin Nash is going to do funny press conferences, I'm all for that.
If Kevin Nash doing wacky X Division comedy is one more reason to watch the X Division than without it.
Yeah. Without Kevin Nash, it's the same matches every week.
Right.
With Kevin Nash, we at least get to laugh at him saying that the dude from Crocodile Dundee may be in the Battle Royal to pay-per-view.
Yep.
That's fine with me. I'd give that a thumbs up. If the X Division were not dead, I would be just tearing this apart. But
the other great part was
useless.
They had this press conference at what appeared to be an actual bar with legit drunkards there asking questions.
Sure. It was great.
Fine idea.
Daniel Styles, BG, and Kip James versus AMW and LAX. After all the teases of AMW breaking up, they're just turning babyface and staying a team.
Woo!
Is that classic? Oh, yeah.
It is, in fact, classic TNA.
Yeah. So, and the other great thing is, out of nowhere, a skinny black man threw a water at Daniel.
Not Human Tornado.
And Mike Tenay screams, "What's Willie Urbina trying to do?"
We had never seen this man before. We had never heard of him before. We had no idea who he was or what his purpose was in the Impact Zone.
I believe Willie Urbina is a commentator from IWA Puerto Rico who has replaced Moody Jack. Moody Jack wanted a raise. They offered him $100. He was gravely insulted and he quit. And they hired Willie Urbina. And apparently everybody watching this show, all 1.1 million viewers, is supposed to not only know this story, but know who Willie Urbina is. Because just out of nowhere, he's a character, he's involved in this feud, and Mike Tenay is screaming, "What's Willie Urbina doing here?"
This was awful. It wasn't even the worst part of this bit, though.
No.
Because at the end, AMW got pinned, I think, and then LAX and AMW got in a fight.
Yes.
And LAX laid them out, including Hernandez hitting Gail Kim with the border toss and just killing the poor girl.
That's the beginning of the babyface turn.
It was, and they buried them under flags and they left. And again, these teams not fighting on the pay-per-view.
No, this was an angle for next month. Yeah. They like looking ahead.
Well,
it's a long-term
There
plan.
is something to be said for long-term planning.
Sure.
But there's something else to be said for plugging the pay-per-view you have on Sunday.
So then, of course, that leads us to the main event, which was Joe versus Angle for November. They built up that one there. And then we got a music video with Chris Jericho, which I just stopped watching at this point. I went away. Apparently this was a great music video.
It was a really cool video for a pretty crappy song. And
somebody said it did a good job hyping up the pay-per-view. I don't know about that. Just the idea of a dude, Chris Jericho, not under contract, being the focal point of this video seemed kind of odd to me.
There is that too. I'm sure this is one more moment where people are watching. You know, I'm sure most TNA fans are on the internet and know what's going on, but I'm sure a lot of them watching and said, "Hey, it's Chris Jericho. Is he coming to TNA? Will he be on the show?" But questions are not what you want. We're trying to get people to buy a pay-per-view.
TNA just assumes everybody knows everything. And WWE does, but not to this degree.
No.
This is an absurd degree. And if anybody goes, "Well, Brian, they saw Kurt Angle and Joe, and they saw Jericho, and they may buy the pay-per-view thinking they're going to get those guys." Well, when they don't, that's the last pay-per-view they're going to fucking buy.
That's bad. It's not Bryan and Vinny where it's a one-time thing.
That's TNA, kids.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush.
What the hell's so funny?
That song.
Why was it funny?
The man had a funny voice.
We're here on the Bryan and Vinny Show for Sunday night, Monday morning, whatever you want to call it. It is October 23rd, 2006. We have just watched the TNA Bound for Glory pay-per-view from somewhere near Detroit. It wasn't actually in Detroit. It was near Detroit, and that led to the highlight of the show when Don West goes, "What's the biggest thing happening in Detroit this week? The World Series."
Mm-hmm.
Hell of a line there, Don West. And I got to start off by saying, before we recap this show, that I've already looked at a lot of feedback for Bound for Glory. And maybe it's just me, but I think everybody else watched a different show.
Is it positive feedback?
There's a lot of very positive feedback about this show, which has led me to... There are three options here.
Mm-hmm.
Option number one is that these people are just wrong.
Okay.
I do believe that there are such things as wrong opinions. That's just me, though.
That's lovely.
That's option number one. Option number two is we were, in fact, watching a different TNA pay-per-view. Like, I went to hit the play button on the DVR, and I watched last month's show or something like that.
All right.
But judging from the fact that Kurt Angle was involved and Sting was in the main event fighting for the title in a retirement match, most likely I was watching the right show. And the third option is a bunch of TNA employees and Vince Russo under fake names sent a ton of emails to different websites putting the show over, which is not as unbelievable as it might sound.
No, that would... No.
I have seen so many better pay-per-views from TNA this year.
Yeah.
Not even in the history of the company, this year, than this one. And I don't know. There was some good stuff on the show. Senshi and Chris Sabin had a great match. LAX and AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, they did some great stuff, but even that match suffered from what the entire pay-per-view suffered from, and that was absolutely perplexing booking. Actually, booking may not even be the right word. The psychology on the show was just completely fucked up. Just completely fucked up in about pretty much every single match, except for the main event, which was horrible just because it was horrible. But I think there were some perplexing moments in that match as well. So we're going to run down everything one by one. The only good thing I can say is that they do have Angle and Joe coming up. At least we've got something for next month.
Yeah,
kids.
the only positive you can say is for the future.
Yeah.
There's very little positive to say about this show. I also hated it.
This was something else. It opened up with Kevin Nash's Battle Royal, which was a Royal Rumble with 1-minute intervals where you could win by tossing a guy over the top rope until it came down to 2 minutes, in which case it morphed into a normal wrestling match.
Right. None of this was ever explained, by the way.
Well, I think that's the way they've always done Battle Royal, so I'll at least say that at least in the past they have had a reason for the rules changing in the middle of the match. Thus was not the case in the cage match.
No.
We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later, but even WWE does the Royal Rumble every year, and they still make it crystal clear what the rules are.
Yes.
So
And, well, the rules also are very simple in the Royal Rumble.
that's also true.
You just get thrown over the top rope. This was a Vince Russo special. You had the X Division wrestlers, you had the jobbers, you had the midget, you had the woman. Am I forgetting anything here?
The one-legged dude.
The one-legged freak. The whole 9 yards.
It's a little strong.
I just actually read a book about freaks. So
I see.
the guy that wrote the book was trying to... He was very upset that the word freak was now politically incorrect. He said there was no better word to describe people with these disabilities than freaks. And he said he was a freak himself. He had once worked in the circus.
Okay.
So as a freak, he was defending the term freak. The whole book was about how special freaks were. So really, I was giving Zach Gowen a compliment by calling him a freak.
Huh.
Yeah. So anyway, he was out there with his one leg, and they had this match, and there was a lot of comedy involved, that sort of thing. The best comedy was actually Kevin Nash coming out with a giant trophy that was a bowling trophy.
Mm-hmm.
The winner of this got a bowling trophy. That's good comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The midget chasing the referee around the ring, and then the referee ending up in the ring and deciding he was a participant and taking his shirt off and then immediately getting eliminated, that ain't comedy. That's just dumb. That's just wacky.
Well, it can be both, but it certainly was dumb.
Well, maybe with the proper... If Regal had been the referee, something like that...
Okay, yes. That's a good point.
The right man could have made this funny. And I don't like to make accusations about certain things, but Mark Johnson, something's up. Something is up. That there's got to be some sort of underhanded reason why this man still has a job, because he brings nothing to the table, literally nothing. So,
I can't argue with that.
I actually
I can't. There's something that Mark Johnson does that says that he's great at that says he should have a job. So
there are individuals in TNA where there are certainly stories going around. I have not heard such stories about Mark Johnson, so I can't. Maybe they just see talent in him that I don't see, but useless, completely useless. So they had this match, and it came down to who did it come down to? It came down to Austin Starr and Jay Lethal, who had a match, and then Austin Starr pinned him with a brain buster. Alex Shelley had been in the match. He was Nash's boy. He got eliminated. So Nash and Alex Shelley hit the ring afterwards. Starr was celebrating. They gave him the big trophy, and then they walked to the back. Mm-hmm. That was the end.
That was, in fact, the end.
Yeah.
You had told me beforehand that you had heard the match was miserable and all kinds of bad, and it was just a wacky exhibition battle royal. So maybe with my low expectations, it was it came off better than it really was, but all in all, I had no problem with this.
1 star.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I can give no more. Then we had clips of LAX destroying Gale with the border toss. They cut backstage to AMW, who vowed that they would get revenge on LAX in a match that's not tonight.
No.
Yeah.
The theme of this pay-per-view continues.
Sure.
The whole company's ignoring it.
Yeah. This was like the night that didn't exist.
Sadly, it did, and we had to watch it.
Shane Douglas came out with the newly franchised Naturals. It looked exactly the same.
Have they been newly franchised for about 6 months now?
Franchising involves the ass.
I do remember the famous line where Shane Douglas threatened to franchise someone's ass.
Ric Flair's.
Ric Flair's ass, and yes, and we were waiting for the Ric Flair's ass chain of restaurants.
Yes. He said, first he asked, are we ready to get our ass franchised? And then he called out the newly franchised Naturals. So all I can assume is they were sodomized.
No, that would at least be interesting.
Well,
there'd be something, as rape victims, there'd be something compelling about these men.
That's the only thing I can...
And they were still the same old boring twits, so yep. I don't think he raped them.
They faced the James Gang, AMW, and Team 3D in a 4-team match. They did a bunch of moves. Apparently it was an Extreme Rules match. They were brawling all over the place. They brawled up the ramp. They brawled here. They brawled there.
They brawled near. They brawled far.
They brawled everywhere. So, Naturals...
I don't know why that was so funny.
Naturals ended up in the ring. This show was so bad. This was so bad it was... Sometimes the show is just so bad you're miserable. This is so bad there's just comedy everywhere.
By the end, there was comedy fucking everywhere.
So, and Buddy Wayne was here too, and he behaved himself until about the last match, and then he lost it. And we all already lost it, so... But it was Extreme Rules. They were here, there, everywhere, as I noted. The Naturals hit the Natural Disaster on Devon, which apparently is their finish. I don't know for sure. Devon just kicked out. Crowd was silent. This is another theme of the show. The theme of the show was there was a lot of excitement early on, and the match was worked in such a manner that by the end no one cared.
I could be mistaken. I believe that's exactly the opposite of what you want to do.
This is apparently the new psychology in 2006. It's not...
It's how to kill the crowd.
Sure, it's not start the match where no one gives a shit about either guy, and then by the end they're going nuts for everything that's going on. Apparently it's now they go nuts when the guys come out and don't give a shit by the end. So, I guess I gotta learn to work that style or something, because I have learned the wrong way, apparently. Many years back. Yeah. It was, it ended up with the dark-haired Natural hitting his partner, and then the Dudleys hit the 3D for the pin. The AMW just vanished with the James Gang. Just sort of disappeared. And that was that. And then Douglas yelled at the men again, and then they cut to the back.
This was pointless.
Yeah.
Utterly pointless. As last I checked, AMW will be feuding with LAX, so I don't know why they didn't win.
Well, I didn't expect them to win because they're still heels. They have to do a babyface turn. So they're going to be doing a bunch of jobs as heels before doing the turn.
I see.
I predicted this I predicted they would do the job, actually. I was wrong about that, but I knew they weren't winning this match.
Okay.
Actually, I shouldn't have said that because with Russo booking, that would have
never
made
know.
sense for them to win the match. But they cut backstage, and Borash was standing in front of a door that had Samoa Joe written on it. Unfortunately, it didn't have a star, because I was thinking of a number of jokes involving Raven having a 6-sided star on his door. I was thinking about this during Observer Live because nothing else was going on during that show. Jake the Snake came up from behind and
made penis jokes.
He, I believe, threatened to rape Jeremy Borash.
Or something. Or just
that's what I got at.
Show him his dong or
something involving a snake.
I'm not sure if he was raping him or trying to seduce him. He may have just been offering.
Yeah.
But it didn't work.
It was wacky. I actually give this whole thing a thumbs up just because of the pure wackiness of the whole segment.
All right.
Then we had Joe, Abyss, Spike Dudley, and Raven in a Monsters Ball match. With Jake Roberts as the referee, he lurched down to the ring with his snake. Raven... I could go on and on about Raven today. Raven was on Observer Live, and what a show that was. He alerted us that, I believe what he was basically saying was, everyone in the wrestling world sucks except him. All hardcore matches suck except his. He even had the story about how Gwyneth Paltrow, he ran into her and Sheryl Crow at the airport, and she was totally into him and gave him her number.
Wow.
But of course, the story ends with him calling, and she never called him back. But somehow this was still a victory. It was a hell of a little program, and I am sorry that a lot of people didn't get to hear it, but such is life. But anyway, Raven came out wearing what appeared to be a bird cage on his head. It was made of cast iron, a cast iron bird cage.
That's just some bizarre, I don't know if it was an S&M helmet or what, but he came out with this thing, and he began to pose. And I'm not sure what the pose was supposed to indicate, but he held his hands at his side and kind of stuck out his chest and held his head aloft. And then he turned. He didn't turn his head. He turned his entire body and just turned to the audience on either side. And I don't know if we were supposed to be scared or impressed, but I laughed.
It looked like he was backstage, and he found a bird cage on the ground on the way to the ring and just put it on his head. Like This had to have been played for comedy. He could not possibly have been serious.
This has been cool.
You know what this reminded me of? You remember in The Return of the King when they're going to Mount Doom and they have to dress up as orcs or whatever the things are, and they put on the helmets that have like a beak?
Yes.
It's just absurd.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this looked like, because it had like a beak on it. That's why I thought a bird cage.
I see.
It was some sort of metal mask with a beak.
I will not even get into dissect your logic there, but I don't know what it was either, so I have no better answer.
He looked 150 years old. Spike Dudley looked 100 years old. Jake Roberts looked 300 years old.
Thousands of years old.
That left just Joe and Abyss as people less than 100 years old. They had this match. There were dives and such and assorted wackiness. This was the first match to get a "This is awesome" chant, which by the end of the show it was a parody of the chant.
Yes. It was.
There was a time when something would be awesome and people would chant "This is awesome," and it was, and you're like, Jesus Christ, this is awesome. Now what happened was Spike Dudley and Abyss were brawling outside the ring, and there was a lighting stand, and they were forced to climb it.
They weren't dragging one another up there.
No.
They just decided to both climb the stand.
There wasn't cheese on the top or anything.
There was no prize. No. There was no treats up there. No Rice Krispie treats or anything.
No,
they just decided to climb the lighting stand.
They saw it and decided, we're just going to climb this. And they climbed it, and Spike got thrown off, supposedly through a table, but the table didn't break, so he just landed on it. And then Abyss dropped an elbow. So Abyss goes through Spike and the table in this absurd little thingamajigger. And they're both selling it like they're hurt. And then Jim Mitchell's out there cackling and rubbing his hands together. And I thought, what's so funny? Your guy's dead.
Or what's so awesome?
Yeah, and that's when the fans started chanting, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
And I was like, name one thing awesome about this.
Well, I have a suggestion then. First of all, the directing on the show was horrible.
Oh, God.
A lot of stuff was missed, including the elbow smash.
Sure.
While Abyss was falling off the lighting stand, dropping an elbow through young brother Runt, the camera was showing a close-up of Jake Roberts, who had moseyed up to the ramp.
And he's just standing there.
And reacting to it.
Sure.
Which brings me to I was going to say young Jake, which is not true, to Mr. Roberts. He was either the best or worst
young
ref.
for a planet.
He's younger than most trees, yes. He was either the best or worst ref I ever saw. Because the thing about a ref is, in theory, you're only supposed to notice them when they screw up.
Sure.
You couldn't take your eyes off Jake. He was moving the whole time. He was waving his arms around. He was pointing to guys as they did moves. He was selling better than the guys were.
He was 9 feet tall.
He was also 9 feet tall.
He's wearing a bright red shirt, blue jeans tucked into his cowboy boots,
yes.
and just lurching around.
Being Jake.
Like a phantom.
Guys would run around the ring, and Jake would point at them and follow them as they went so he knew where they were.
And there was one spot where he just like put his hand on his forehead like, oh God, what am I doing here? And this is Jake Roberts thinking this, which should tell you something. So the end came when Joe. Oh, this was the other good part. Abyss busts out the thumbtacks and he's putting them on the mat, and Joe gave him a senton backsplash, and Abyss went face first into the thumbtacks, and the crowd went.
Even before that, there was stupidity before that. Abyss broke out the bag of tacks. Everyone knew it was the bag of tacks. Everyone started to go crazy. Jake then tried to stop him from sprinkling the thumbtacks.
That's giving it way too much credit, by the way.
What's that, going crazy?
Yes.
The crowd was excited to see the tacks. I know this because when Jake stopped him from sprinkling the tacks, they booed.
Yes.
They booed the heel being stopped from using his evil tactics.
Thwarted, yeah. So anyway, almost no response whatsoever when he actually went face first into the tacks, since we've seen it on every fucking show now, and the tacks are no longer special.
Yep.
In fact, the exact reaction when he went face first into the thumbtacks was the crowd went, oh, about that loudly, in fact, and that was that. Raven got a chair, Jake gave him the DDT, and then Joe gave Raven the muscle buster for the pin, and I cannot wait for Raven versus Jake the Snake Roberts. That's a feud that 10 years ago would have been fantastic.
Oh my God!
Today it will be even more fantastic.
Entirely different manner.
Completely different way.
I don't want them to feud. I just wanted to talk. Just get together and hang out.
Yeah, it would be better if they just went to the bar together or something. That ain't gonna happen. They're gonna have a match.
Shit.
So then we had Larry and Eric Young in the loser gets fired match.
Shit.
And Tenay actually had to note it was actually a loser either gets fired or stays fired match. Hello, Vince Russo.
Oh my God.
They went about a minute of stalling by Larry,
which even Tenay noted.
Yeah.
Expect stalling, folks. Larry Zbyszko's involved.
It was a minute of stalling by Larry, and then within 1 minute, the referee had taken a bump. Larry got knocks, but Eric Young confiscated them and hit Larry Zbyszko with them, and then got the pin. The match went about 2 minutes. Eric Young needed a ref bump and brass knuckles to pin Larry Zbyszko.
A 90-year-old man.
To keep his job.
Yeah.
And this accomplished nothing.
Exactly nothing.
It meant nothing that Eric lost, or Eric won. It meant nothing that Larry lost. And the only thing that did matter was it killed the stipulation in the main event. This.
This was something special.
This show was hideous at this point. Cornette came out, and I thought, thank God Jim Cornette's going to save the show. So what happens? I swear to Christ, Jim Cornette has laryngitis. He can't talk. He's rasping this deal. He makes the announcement that if Joe interferes in the main event, he will be barred from TNA forever. Kurt Angle came out. And just as Don West screamed, it's unbelievable how loud it is in here, Kurt Angle's music stopped, and we heard... And I thought, sucks to be you fuckers. Kurt said TNA is the best, screw the rest. They had thrown streamers into the ring, and he was tangled up in them. That was classic. He said he knew he was going to be the ringside enforcer for one of the greatest main events of all time.
God, he did say that, didn't he?
It turned out he was talking about Jeff Jarrett versus Sting. He said he'd call it straight down the middle. Joe came out for a brawl. Security immediately broke it up. It was a very wild scene, but the one on Impact was significantly better. And they kept trying to get at each other, and security kept them apart, and that was that. That was the last we saw of the confrontation the entire evening.
Yeah. I guess it was fine for what it was, and that it was a segment to build up the pay-per-view of the next show, but...
It was not bad.
No.
It was not fantastic.
No.
It was there, basically.
Yeah. And we, as you noted, we still don't know why Angle and Joe don't like each other.
No, that was actually my biggest question, was why don't they like each other?
Well, Angle did kind of address it where he said, if I was Joe and someone headbutted me, I'd be pissed.
Yeah, but why did he headbutt Joe?
Well, that he did not answer.
Why did he come out when Joe had the belt and he said he wasn't going to give it back? Why did Angle come out?
We don't know. No one knows.
There's random occurrences happening in TNA. Senshi faced Chris Sabin for the X title, by far the highlight of the show. They just had a great match, and there was no blow-up doll.
No, there was no blow-up doll, no bald wig, no video games, just...
It was really, they had a "This is awesome" chant, and it came at the wrong time. It did,
you're right.
It came before it was awesome, and it was made even worse by the fact that they chanted it in the second match on the show, which was decidedly not awesome. By the end of this match, it was truly awesome. And all sorts of near falls and that sort of thing. Senshi hit the dropkick of death into the corner, double foot stomp off the top. Sabin got his foot on the ropes. Senshi put him in the Koji clutch, and then Sabin reversed it in a small package for the pin, and it was thumbs way up.
This was, in fact, a thumbs up. The best part about the foot on the ropes, well, the best part, it was a foot on the ropes and not a kick out.
Sure.
Because in TNA, they always do the dramatic kick outs when it gets overdone, but the foot on the ropes is, this guy was fucked, but he got lucky and was near the ropes, and that, I mean that in a good way. Sounds like I'm kind of burying it, but... And then he hit the flash roll-up and got the pin. So, yeah, this was good.
And the other good thing about it was Sanjay and Jay Lethal and Jerry Lynn came out and celebrated with him afterwards, and it appears they have ended the jackass shit, which... That gives us a whole pay-per-view a thumbs up, basically. It does.
Although even that was... They came out, and they showed up, and then they went backstage before Lynn and Sabin even made eye contact.
Yeah.
He was just in the ring.
Christian was reaching out for the handshake, and right before they touched, they cut backstage.
Yeah.
Another great job by the director. Christian faced Rhino in an 8-mile street fight. Never mind the fact that we had outside of the ring brawling in the second match, the third match, well, 2 matches, okay. So of the 5 matches, 2 of them had been basically street fights, and then we had another street fight. They brawled to the back onto a Zamboni, which was driven, I guess, just out into the ramp, and then they just kept fighting. They brawled into the ring to do spots, one of my favorite spots in a street fight. There's a ring there, so they decided they're going to do pro wrestling maneuvers. Then they brawled out of the ring again. Then they brawled back into the ring again. There were chairs, there was this, that, and the other thing. Keep in mind that Rhino's from Detroit.
Yeah.
Christian's the big heel. And the way this match was designed, by the time Christian actually covered him in plunder, pretty much all the plunder that was in the ring, he put on his head and then started beating it repeatedly with a chair. The fans were jumping up and down and clapping and cheering Christian.
That's bad.
I just watched this and I was like, this is fascinating, really. It's just amazing to me. So, Tenay was screaming about concussions. Nobody gave a shit about concussions. And Christian got him, pinned him, and got a big ovation for the pin as well.
Yep.
So Christian's well on his way to being the top heel here in this promotion, as he's working apparently like a babyface.
The highlight of this match by far.
Actually, no, I got to cut you off. There was one other highlight. Here, if everybody wants to know why was Christian cheered when he destroyed the Detroit hometown wrestler in this match, let me tell you why. Because near the finish, Rhino took him out onto the apron.
Yep.
He pile drove him through a chair to the concrete floor, and within 30 seconds, Christian was back on his feet in the ring doing spots. He was Superman.
He was invulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah. He could not be killed. He was a Terminator.
Sure.
Yeah. And I was going to get to that. That was going to be the second part of my point. The first part was, the way they set this up was, they were brawling, and they brawled out to the apron and kept brawling, and then suddenly they realized they were in the wrong position.
Sure.
So they just stopped.
Yeah.
And I mean stopped for a long time. These guys, these are not first day of wrestling school kids. They've been doing this for a long time. They should have known better. But no, they just stopped for a while. They brawled back into the ring, danced around so they were switched positions, and then brawled back to the apron.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Classic.
And then they did the pile drive to the table, which meant nothing.
Especially when Christian hopped back up like Superman and was suddenly the biggest babyface in the building.
Most snapmares have a more residual effect than this pile driver to the table.
Oh, yeah. So then we had LAX versus AJ and Daniels, which I was going nuts during this match.
You were, in fact.
The first problem was, after all the bitching about the 40-minute intermission on Pride last night, these guys are going to have a cage match, and they had to build the cage. It wasn't a cage that lowered from the ceiling. It wasn't a show where the cage match went on first and they just had to tear it apart. They called out a crew who spent a good 10 minutes building a cage.
Yes.
So then they put these guys in the cage, and I thought, wait a second, why is this a cage match? Last month they had an Ultimate X match, which is a no disqualification match. So if somebody ran in, who fucking cares? It's no DQ. What necessitated this cage match? And Mike Rowe was like, well, I think Jim Cornette explained that it was a cage match because LAX had attacked AJ and Daniels in Mexico. Apparently, there was fear that a number of Mexicans would cross the border, journey to Detroit,
Yes.
enter the building, and perhaps run in during this match. So they put it in a cage.
Right.
Okay, so let's just forget all that.
Can I give you the real answer? It was in the cage.
No, I want to know, for real.
They had run out of other stipulations to use.
Okay, well, duh.
Okay.
So anyway, let's just forget all that. They're in the cage, okay? So you've got a match with LAX, AJ, and Daniels. They're all in a cage. They all hate each other. They've been feuding forever. So what do? They have a tag team match.
Right.
Not a match with two tag teams. A tag team match.
That happens to have a cage wrapped around it.
You had...
They are making tags. They have 5 counts to change switch places.
You had one man in the corner,
Yes.
and you had one man in the ring on each team. And they would make tags. And the referee was enforcing the rules.
Yes.
No, you've got to make a tag, dude. And I was sitting there thinking, what the fuck happens if you just get in the ring? Are they going to DQ you in this cage match? So they're having this traditional tag team match, and eventually Homicide gets a fork. Somebody slipped him a fork.
Right.
So they got to do the distraction. We got to distract the ref.
Yes.
Because we're using a gimmick in this cage match. Don't want to get DQ'd here. So they're distracting the ref and everything like that. And I finally get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to accept that they're going to have a tag team match in a steel cage.
Right.
As absurd as this whole thing is, I'm just going to go with it, okay? So I finally accept it, and what happens? It breaks down into a 4-way, and the referee doesn't do a goddamn thing. And so, instantly, and this is not in the last 1 minute of the match, there's a good 8 minutes left, maybe 5 minutes left, the rules changed. Suddenly, it became all 4 men in the ring at the same time. And then guess what came into play? The fork.
The fork was back.
Right in front of the referee.
Yeah.
So then Mike Tenay is like, Homicide explained that they used the fork, Daniels explained that Homicide used the fork on him, so now he gets to use it. Apparently there had been a negotiation. So now they've got this... So now this cage match is all of a sudden a cage match where gimmicks and everything like that is legal. And this was yet another match where the longer it went, the less people cared. And how did they bring the people back? AJ did a huge dive off the cage. Then Hernandez went up top and jumped off the cage and missed by a mile. And they did a whole bunch of spots. And then finally Homicide ended the life of AJ Styles with the scariest cop killer you ever seen in your whole life.
He killed him.
Yeah, AJ Styles will be retired by 35, I assure you.
Oh, how old is he now?
Younger than we are, I think.
He's not making it 5 more years. Yeah, he killed him. The only thing I can say, the booking stuff.
They all worked very hard.
They worked very hard. Well,
AJ was born in 1978, which makes him about
3 years younger than
28, 29.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not making 35. The illogical stuff didn't bother me as much. I wasn't even thinking about why there was a cage or why the rules were that way. And most tag team matches start off as a tag team match, and then by the end they're just a 4-way with everyone going anywhere. So I didn't think about that. I just turned my brain off and watched. And thus I was able to enjoy it more than you. In fact, I like this better than Sabin and Senshi.
I didn't.
I know. That's clear. But
well,
yes,
no,
they worked very hard, and lots of stuff looked good, and they all just killed each other and themselves.
All 4 guys worked very hard. They had a good match. It was hampered by the
put together dumb.
It was hampered by the idiocy of whatever happened here.
Yeah.
And I don't blame the 4 guys, believe me.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the 4 guys that they were involved in such bullshit. But
except I think it was AJ. Either AJ or Daniels, when they got the fork, clearly had no idea how to use it and make it look good.
They actually
That's the one knock.
They didn't use the prongs. They used the back
flat of the fork. Yes, they were thwacking him with the fork.
Yeah, that was a good one. So anyway,
I give this a thumbs up.
This was the second best match on the show. I'll say that.
Yeah,
and when the best match on the show is Senshi and Chris Sabin having a great match, that's hardly a knock.
Yeah.
Then we had Jeff Jarrett versus Sting, with
This
Kurt
was
Angle.
not the second best match in the show.
Kurt Angle was the outside the ring referee, not the inside the ring referee. Early on.
Or was he?
Sting came out in an 80s Sting jacket, the dark hair, red, white, and black face paint. It appeared the crowd booed both men.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong here.
No, they were definitely not fans of either guy.
No. Sting was down about 20 pounds, and say what you will about Sting, that dude's 48 fucking years old, and he looks great.
He looks like exactly what he is, which is a 48-year-old in fantastic shape.
Yeah, not on the juice.
Yeah.
He just dieted down and was in great, great shape. And they had a match, and it was horrid.
God, it sucked.
Every time, here's why I thought that a lot of, there had to have been a lot of TNA employees sending in comments under fake names. How could you watch this and not see how horrible it was?
I don't know.
They were fucking shit up left and right.
They were fucking running the rope spots, and Jarrett would throw his close with his right arm, and Sting would run around the other side of his body.
It was
They
horrible.
would prop step up and just repeat it again, so it was totally obvious.
Yep.
Oh my God, they're falling down.
They were falling down. The near falls at the end were just. They weren't even kickouts. They were like, I'm just going to raise my arm. It's the old Jarrett. I'll raise my arm, and that counts as a kickout. And Sting was doing the same thing.
Yep.
No heat at all from the near falls. They try to do this. I mean, what can you say? They try to do an 80s world title match on a show where you had street fights, thumbtacks, midgets,
Cages.
snakes, plunder, a cage, forks, the whole 9 yards. They tried to go a Zamboni. They decided to go out and try and have Ric Flair and Sting in 1988.
We shall exchange hip tosses and arm drags in this main event.
And
people will be enthralled.
They were not enthralled.
No.
So finally, both guys went for a cross body here in 2006 in the main event of this TNA show.
This took them about 3 tries, by the way.
Yeah, they bonked into each other and both fell down, and the ref starts giving them a standing 10 count. These men are so tough. Now, granted, Spike went off a lighting stand onto a table that didn't break and then had a giant man do an elbow drop through him. Now, keep in mind that Christian took a pile driver off the apron, threw a table onto the cement, and was on his feet 30 seconds later.
Hernandez fell off the top of the cage.
And was on his feet
and was
30.
just fine.
Sure. Keep in mind all of this stuff here that we were talking about. They bonked into each other on a crossbody and were knocked out for more than 10 seconds.
Neither man could get to his feet.
No, they were done. And the ref's giving him a standing 10 count, and he gets to 9, and they're clearly not getting up. So Kurt Angle gives the ref the Olympic slam and tears off his shirt, and he screams, "Let's get it on," thereby ensuring that Dixie Carter will be getting a legal letter in about 8 hours from now.
Assuming John McCarthy watches TNA.
I assure you they're getting a legal letter.
Okay.
I assure you. So they did this whole dealy-a-bob here, and the last minute of the match was great. I will say that.
It was. Inexplicably.
Sting went outside, or Jarrett went outside and grabbed the guitar.
Well, Sting went for his bat, but Angle took it away.
Okay. So Jarrett got the guitar.
Using that as a distraction.
And he smashed Sting over the head with it, as has been done in a million Jarrett matches. And Sting just stood there, and then he flexed like the 80s Sting, and he growled, and the fucking place jumped to their feet. Like, Jesus Christ, look what we're seeing. Sting put him in the Scorpion Deathlock and got the submission. And the place went crazy. Everybody was happy. We've got a new champion.
He's not retiring?
He's not retiring. They cut to a shot of Jarrett, who looked very sad, like, God, what'll I do? And the announcers were like, we'll never forget Jeff Jarrett, the legacy he's left TNA.
Yeah. That was really the theme here. It was not that Sting is the champion, it's that Jeff Jarrett is the former champion. How will he cope?
How will he cope with not being the man? So for those of you that want to know where TNA is going...
Down.
How can you say that? Where TNA... Actually, they've got a hell of a main event next month.
Yeah.
Next month will probably be their most purchased pay-per-view of all time. Which probably means 60,000 buys. Actually, I think their peak may have been 75,000. So actually, I don't know if they'll hit 75,000. Right now,
Ask me in 24 hours.
If you ask me what Joe and Angle would do right now, I'd say 50,000.
Okay.
Which is pretty fucking sad, all things considered.
Really it is.
But anyway.
This show sucked.
The point is, they're going to have Joe and Angle next month, which Kurt Angle is probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably going to see Sting versus Christian for the next couple of months. That appears to be where they're going. We will see Jeff Jarrett turning babyface and teaming with BG James. We will probably see Joe, after losing to Angle, win the title from Sting. Sting will put him over there in the end. And then we'll have the Joe versus Angle program for the world title. And everything else on the undercard, we'll see Senshi and Chris Sabin do 8 million matches. Mm-hmm. The X Division will be filled with more midgets, girls, and jobbers.
Kevin Nash will still be around.
Kevin Nash will still be making us laugh. And in 6 months, Impact will be doing a 1.0. And they will be doing 35,000 buys.
You realize that indicates growth?
No, that indicates stagnancy. Slight growth in the 1.0. Slight growth in the ratings. Yeah. But otherwise, largely stagnant.
Stagnation.
Sure. And, don't yell at me. No, don't yell at me. I'm just telling you what I'm pretty sure is going to be, is how it's going to go. 6 months, they'll be in the exact same spot they're in right now. If they're wrong, if I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. You can all go back and this will be in the archives or on an audio CD. You can point it out that I fucked up. They're at a 2.5 now, Brian. You were sure off base. May happen. Who knows? But if you ask me today, 1-0, 35,000 buys. That's the prediction. So there you go, kids. But we'll see some good matches with Angle and Joe, hopefully.
There is that.
So that's a positive. I don't really have anything else to say about the whole deal.
Thumbs down.
Wow. It was thumbs down, show.
Now, adrenaline rush now. Adrenaline rush.
So then we watched as I said, the TNA show. They plugged Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe at the next pay-per-view.
They opened the show and with that announcement, it was the only thing they did right.
Yeah, that may very well be true. There were many. What's funny is I thought when I wrote this report that I had listed every stupid thing they did, and throughout the day I received emails and PMs from people reminding me of things that I had in fact forgotten on this show that they had done stupidly.
This was legendary.
100 people could name 10 stupid things, and they still wouldn't have named every stupid thing on this show.
Yeah.
That's why this show, in some strange way, was not the worst show of the week. This show was like a puzzle.
With no solution.
This show was like
it's a jigsaw puzzle when you're missing 14 pieces.
It was a mystery to be solved,
yeah.
This show. Sting came out. Today we're talking about how Sunday's pay-per-view was being hailed as the greatest pay-per-view in TNA history.
Mike Tenay was lying.
No, he wasn't. That's the comedy. I told you to fucking go read some of the feedback on this show.
Oh, okay.
I will flat out say it. Folks from TNA were sending in fake feedback, and certain websites published it.
I suppose that counts as being hailed.
God. So anyway, then Tenay's saying it was hailed as the greatest pay-per-view of all time. That's one thing. Okay? Don West begging for us to buy the replay, that's bullshit. What an asshole.
I need to mention, I never asked why, but Brian Knight is wearing a bathrobe. He's wearing a t-shirt and hopefully some sort of undergarment and a bathrobe.
No, I'm nude under this.
And he's ranting and screaming and pointing at me to punctuate the word bullshit. I don't know why, but it's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah. So
yes, Don West was spouting bullshit. More than usual.
He was a cheater. He was a cheat. He was trying to fuck us out of our $29.95.
A con man.
$34.95. That was horrible. So Sting was out there, and Christian came out, interrupted him, and said he wanted a shot at his belt. And he said, for once in your life, stop hiding behind that makeup and be a man. So Sting, the babyface world champion who's just won the championship, said, if you want a shot at your belt, you can have one. And Christian inexplicably turned his back and started to leave. Like, okay, well, I guess...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sting. See you later.
He didn't say, okay, well, let's do it tonight. He just walked away like, okay. Okay. So then Sting said, you'll get it when I say you'll get it. Like a heel.
Indeed.
And then he said, I want to introduce you to my little friend. And he pulled out his baseball bat.
And he struck the man.
He started beating Christian.
Attacked him with a weapon.
Repeatedly hitting him with this bat.
For no reason.
unprovoked. This was dumb.
This was fucking dumb.
This was stupid. So then,
thumbs down so far.
Thumbs down. I give this a thumbs up so far, just because it's brought me so much joy tearing it apart. It's just like Thunder in the heyday.
It was. This was thunderific.
This was thundertastic. Samoa Joe came out, or he cut a promo backstage, I guess, vowing to beat up Kurt tonight. Christie said that a wacky Fight for the Right tournament was later. Oh, by the way, I should note that this was something somebody pointed out to me that I had not noticed. Christian, in the opening segment, was talking about the Fight for the Right tournament. And then Christie talked about the Fight for the Right tournament. Mm-hmm. And this entire time, a tournament had been referenced that we were not alerted to.
Correct. It was.
They never said there would be a tournament tonight. There were just two people talking about a tournament that we did not know was going to be taking place. Unless we read the spoilers.
Well, there was that. Mike Tenay used the words Fight for the Right, and I think it was about 20 minutes into the show, after hearing the term 1,500 times, that they finally sat down and explained what it meant.
Yeah.
And we still didn't know,
no.
But we had an idea.
Shane Douglas was in the ring on drugs. Perhaps a drug.
Wow.
Well, caffeine is a drug.
Sure.
He may have had 8 Monster energy drinks, but he needs to never act like he was acting like on the show again. He was crazed.
He was, in fact, out of his mind.
He was going crazy, saying, tonight, after all this time, the Naturals are finally getting their long-awaited title shot. And it wasn't even like everybody went. It was like one dude went, and that was it. Mm-hmm. So the Naturals came out, the newly franchised Naturals, looking exactly like they've looked for the past 4 years. They had a match with LAX, the tag team champions. LAX squashed them and beat them clean.
It's worse. LAX came out and was jumped by AMW.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten about
AMW
that.
beat them up for a while.
Sure.
And then fed them the Naturals to be killed. And the Naturals had these two men half beaten, half dead, and then were squashed.
Yes. This
was dumb. As much as I hate the Naturals, this was fucking dumb.
For 5 seconds, I still hate the Naturals.
Oh, I do too.
For 5 seconds, I forgave Vince Russo because he destroyed the Naturals push and it was over.
It was, I got perverse pleasure out of it, selfish pleasure, but it's still dumb.
Yeah. But then 5 seconds later, I unforgave the forgiven Vince Russo because this feud must continue. Shane Douglas yelled at them. They turned on him. They punched him. He was bleeding from the mouth, and then he noticed he was bleeding. I guess saw the fire in their eyes and smiled. This angle must continue.
Boo!
Fuck Russo.
This sucks.
This made me mad. So then we had Nash and Shelley backstage with Austin Starr doing a promo. I had not noticed this, but somebody pointed it out to me today. They never even mentioned Austin Starr won the Nash Invitational.
I almost forgot that he was on the show at all.
He just randomly appeared with these two men.
I was thinking about the show today. We watched the show last night, and I was thinking about the show today, thinking, I can't believe he won that wacky thing, and they never even mentioned him on the show.
No.
And then until you mentioned him just now, I forgot he was even on.
He was. But he was just...
And I saw him.
He randomly appeared as their friend.
Yeah.
They didn't mention that he had... Maybe they did in the video. I wasn't paying attention, but he was just there. Just there.
They did not mention that he won the wacky Battle Royal Gauntlet thing. They just mentioned that he is now there, and Alex Shelley is jealous of him because he's stealing Kevin Nash's affection.
Wow.
And I am not exaggerating.
Homosexuality is now part of this.
Yes.
Now we just need Raven involved now and bring back the flock.
Sure.
So then Tenay explained the Fight for the Right tournament.
Here we go.
You know, it's bad enough they had to have graphics.
Never a good sign.
It's worse that I had to pause it to recap the graphics. The graphics were as follows. There was a screen that said, Fight for the Right. Stage 1. 18 wrestlers start outside the ring. First 7 over the top rope continue. Then there was a second screen. It said, Fight for the Right. Stage 3. Final 2 meet in singles match. Winner gets a bye to tournament finals.
I think you skipped a stage.
Oh, shit, I did. Fight for the Right, Stage 2. Those 7 compete. See, I'm already fucked up. I give up.
He did a bunch of shit.
Anyway, they introduced...
All this was missing was Scott Hudson saying, it's really quite simple.
It was basically a reverse battle royal. I cannot even name all the stupid things that they did in this 5 minutes. But I will note that the dumbest that I saw right off the bat was Robert Roode.
Yes, he's now Robert.
For 3 months, Bobby Roode was looking for a manager.
Right.
And they did vignettes week after week after week. And then finally he said, next week on television, I will introduce my manager.
I remember that.
So then on television the next week, he said, I will introduce my manager at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
So then at the pay-per-view, he wasn't on the show.
That's right.
He did a dark match, which I'd like to... I don't know if Vince Russo knows this, so I'm just going to fill him in here as a friend. The dark match doesn't air.
You're right.
The dark match is the non-televised match. Yeah. So, it was a dark match. Bobby Roode with his new valet against Lance Hoyt. And so we never learned he never revealed the manager on the pay-per-view as promised.
No, he did not.
So then, all of a sudden, he didn't even reveal the manager on TV. He was just in this match, and she was at ringside, unintroduced.
Yes.
And, randomly, in the middle of the match, Mike Tenay goes, Mr. Wall Street, Robert Roode.
Okay. There was so much going on, I didn't even catch that part. That's his nickname now?
Mr. Wall Street, Robert Roode. Yeah.
Huh.
Yes. Chris Sabin, who won the X title, the pay-per-view, that was not mentioned.
No.
He was just a random man in this match.
I forgot he won.
You fought.
Listen,
you fought for the right to get into the ring, to fight for the right to get thrown out of the ring, to not get thrown out of the ring. And the best part was when there was nobody around to stop you, you had to somehow pretend like you could not get in the ring.
This happened several times. Guys would be on the apron fighting, and the opponent would be pulled down, and they had to stand on the apron and sell.
Yeah. Oh, I can't get in this fucking ring.
Oh, I'm blown up. Oh, climbing over these ropes. Oh, well, which for me actually would be reasonable, but yes, the whole concept of the reverse battle royal is fucking retarded, for the simple reason that you look at the camera, and the camera, 2/3 of the camera shot is taken up by the wrestling ring, in which nothing is happening. There's 3 referees standing around. On the perimeter of the screen, you can make out action. There's violence, there's conflict, but you don't have any idea what's going on or who's involved. It would be like turning into a basketball game, and you're watching the basketball court, and there's no people on it, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the stands.
They're playing basketball in the stands.
Yeah. You watch a tennis match.
Hold on a second, you're talking too much. It would be like, I'm finishing up your deal. It would be like if you had a basketball game, and there was nothing going on the basketball court, and all the players were in the stands, and you had to try and throw it from the stands through the hoop. Yes. We're trying to make this game more challenging. We're trying to make it different.
And you can do this with any sport: hockey, football, soccer. There was the field's in the middle for a reason. It's so it can all be seen.
It's the stage.
It is the stage. It's what everyone wants to watch. So yes, this is stupid from moment one. On top of that, in 5 minutes they did this. There was this quote unquote wrestling match going on. Bobby Roode was there with his new valet unannounced. They never showed this, they just mentioned that B.G. James had packed his bags and left.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
They announced they were moving to prime time on whatever the date is, and they were doing a barbed wire cage match there. No graphics showing this, or mentioning who was involved. They just mentioned it as the match was going on. Oh, by the way, we're doing a barbed wire cage match on our primetime debut.
Is it on TV?
I think so.
Oh, I thought that was for the pay-per-view.
Sure.
Great job, TNA.
Yeah. Let's see, what else is going on? AMW is hanging out drinking, even though they were involved in the match. I think LAX came out to get them at some point. That's all I remember. I'm sure there was more. I can't say this was the worst thing I ever saw.
We're not done.
Oh. Okay.
They just got in the ring.
Well,
we still have to do stage 2.
Stage 2 kept going. Okay, we'll move on to stage 2.
They had a battle royal in which men were thrown from the ring, and the last 2 men left, who ended up being Abyss and Lance Hoyt, had a match. And they had a competitive match for a length of time. And finally, at the end of the match, Lance Hoyt was defeated. And so Abyss won this whole convoluted clusterfuck of a bumblefuck, and you know what he got out of it? A bye in the tournament.
Yeah.
a bye. That means everybody else has a match and he doesn't.
Right.
Okay. This reverse battle royal, leading to a battle royal, resulted in two men having a match that no one else in the tournament had to have.
Yes.
So in the end, everybody has the same fucking number of matches.
Right.
Except for the unfortunate loser who gets to the very, very end of this reverse battle royal. That poor fucker has an extra match.
That's true.
Congratulations. I was just trying to think, why not just jump the fuck out of the battle royal and just be in the tournament?
Just be fresh, ready to go.
Why the fuck would you want to have this extra match at the end after a battle royal where you could get killed? Just take your extra match in the tournament.
I don't know.
And I don't even understand what the next part of the tournament is. It's like a three-way with the winner getting abyss or some bullshit. There was some, depending on how you got thrown out, that determined seeding. Which reminded me of the old X Division match where they would have 6 men, and depending on when you were eliminated, you were like the number 6 contender.
And then the number 6 guy usually got the title shot first.
Yeah, or never. Shannon Moore still is owed one.
Shannon Moore still owed one.
Yeah, in ECW. But this was horrifyingly bad.
It was awful. I cannot say it was the worst thing I've ever seen, because at least no one got hurt. I can't say, it wasn't even necessarily boring, it was just mind-numbing and chaotic and confusing.
No, let me tell you something. I work out every day.
Mm-hmm.
I run every day.
Yeah.
I do gymnastics and jiu-jitsu and 8 million other things, and I'm in great shape. And I watched this match for 5 minutes, and I was fucking blown up and in a cold sweat.
Yes, it was tiring.
As a fan, sitting on my fucking couch.
Yes. It was a workout to get through. It was a strain. It was a struggle. It was the stupidest TV segment I have ever seen on a wrestling show.
I'm not quite sure I'd go that far.
I can go that far. When you take into account all the angles that were going on, casually mentioning TV announcements and matches being thrown. Oh, and you forget this match to determine the number 1 contender. All the guys who should be top contenders were not involved. No Rhino, no Angle, no Joe.
Yeah.
No Christian. Was he in there?
Well, let me give you all the quarters for the show. Hopefully Vince Russo and Dixie Carter are listening, just for the fuck of it. The show opened at a .82. Indeed. The fucking bullshit Battle Royal reverse stage 1 started. It dropped to a .74.
Well, that's bad.
It remained at a .74 until the fucking match was over. And then in the final quarter, when Kurt Angle and everybody came out, it jumped to a .77.
A monumental leap.
Way to go, TNA. Way to fucking go. You know, I got the big thing here from Spike TV, all the ratings and everything like that. And the only thing they plug is Ultimate Fighter 4. which I should note did a 1.04, which is fucking horrible.
Yeah.
But the whole press release is the Ultimate Fighter 4 was first in the time period between 18 and 34, cable only it adds. Did a 1.04, 1.45 in males 18 to 49, 1.83 in males 18 to 34, average audience of 1.3 million viewers. It notes the World Series on Fox did a 10.7 with 16.1 million viewers.
Why does it mention that?
And then it just throws out the quarters. It makes no mention of TNA.
Well, yeah.
Let me do one more thing right here. The UFC Unleashed, the F show. I never hear anyone talking about this show. Opened at a .77, dropped slightly to a .76, jumped to a .82, and then jumped to a .94.
I bet it beat it.
So that comes out to a .82.
So did it beat Impact?
I forget what I said Impact here. Remember that. .82, okay?
22.
So we got .8. Shut up. Plus... divided by 4.
That's what quarters mean.
Oh, .76.
Oh, Unleashed crushed it.
Unleashed crushed TNA.
A show I cannot tell you what's on and I've never watched.
No.
Never seen a commercial for.
Fan-fucking-tastic, kids. Oh, my God. God, the Ultimate Fighter dropped to a .95 in the second quarter. Jesus Christ. Too much TV, kids, and it all sucks. We're not even done with TNA.
No, we're not done with TNA.
No. So, Borash interviewed Jarrett, the highlight of which was the sad music playing in the background.
This was supposed to be the kickoff to Jarrett's babyface turn. We're supposed to feel compassionate for him now. And he talked about being exhausted.
He sniffed a lot.
He said he was going home. He sniffed a lot. He was sad about losing his belt, and he was sad about not being on top anymore. But he said it was hard being champion. And they were playing this song. And I don't know what the song was or where they found it, but it was impossible to take any of this even remotely seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Just this sad, sappy, melodramatic music. In a children's movie, when the horse dies, it would have been this song.
No, I don't even think it would be that. It would have to be. It would have to be like a Bambi level movie, like a what's the word?
A cartoon.
Oh, I hate you. I'll turn you down here for a second. Your talking is going to interrupt me. Like an archetypal. Archetypical, whatever. An archetype. It'd have to be on like a film archetype. That's the kind of music, not just a random children's movie with horses. This is like Bambi. It's like Gone with the Wind. It's like yeah. So anyway, here's what I got to say about it. They didn't mention the wife having cancer. And boy, if they'd mentioned that with this music, Jesus.
No one would have believed it.
If they would have mentioned the wife having cancer with no music, that there would have been some effectiveness in it. Now, granted, it would have been up there with Eddie Guerrero and exploiting his death. His wife's not dead, but she does have cancer, and she has been battling it for years. So they didn't do that, and that's fine. But what they did was horrible, because we were supposed to feel sorry for Jeff Jarrett. Now, we would have legitimately felt sorry for the guy if he'd brought up his wife's legit battle with cancer, or probably a number of other things not having to do with death or dying. Instead, Jeff was trying to get sympathy by saying, I built this company from scratch. I carried this company on my shoulders for 4 years. Now I'm tired. It's time for you to love me. That's what he said, basically.
Almost word for word. There was a time when you would turn me down and I would know why.
Now you just keep rattling on and on.
Yeah.
You're down for a reason. Just shut up for a while and I'll turn you back up. Anyway, the point was, that was his whole deal. And when they came back, Don West, I mean, he all but said, Jeff Jarrett's a babyface now, let's all cheer for him.
Mike Tenay was trying to get across the same message, but he had that look on his face like he smelled something really bad. Just thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Oh,
Show
God.
over yet?
No, there is more. Angle came out. The place was going nuts like Christ had entered the building. He said he quit WWE. He was going to tell everybody why. He did it. Basically, he said he quit WWE because he wanted to wrestle in the Impact Zone.
Yeah.
What a liar.
He is, in fact, lying to them.
He led a TNA chant. He said there was no other company with the talent, the wrestlers, that sort of deal, as TNA. The people clapped like they appreciated what he was saying, but didn't believe it. That's usually a bad thing. So, he finally explained why he hates Samoa Joe, at least, and that was that Joe's undefeated, and he wanted the toughest guy. Which is fine, but could you mention...
Why did it take him 3 appearances to mention this?
Yeah, it would have been better if we learned the first week, but Joe came out for a big brawl, 18 million men broke it up, entire locker room came out, and that was that. That was the end.
And it was fine, I guess.
The big argument, Dave and I, 60,000 or 38,000. To me, it's looking more and more like 38. He may be right. He is often right, being Dave Meltzer and all, but I think I'll have the last laugh on this one.
Wouldn't it be funny if Dave Meltzer was always wrong but he was still Dave?
Well, he'd always be Dave.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was an intriguing statement there.
I'm just thinking about this show.
If he started being wrong, he'd suddenly be Bob Meltzer.
Well, it might still be Dave Meltzer, but you would, you know. It's hard to have credibility when you're always wrong.
You do.
Trust me on this. I'm trying to think if I'm interested at all in Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. I don't think I am.
I am, sort of. It's Angle and Joe, but that's about it. So that's TNA, kids. Thumbs down.
Thumbs fucking down.